Chapter 1062. Read 336. Not long after, everyone in the Middle region knew that the Zhongzheng clan and the Yinyang Palace had completely fallen out. It seemed that when they were searching for the auspicious beast in the Shisha mountain range, both sides had a conflict, which led to a complete break in their relationship. The people of the southern wasteland weren't surprised by this news, because the Zhongzheng clan's strength had been developing rapidly these years. There had been news that they wanted to leave the Yinyang Palace, and this incident was just a fuse. Only the Zhongzheng clan knew how great of a loss it was to lose a genius young master. Both sides lost their young lord and young palace master at the same time, and almost broke out into a power war. However, because they both obtained a bottle of auspicious beast blood, they put their focus on the impending opening of the fairyland, which avoided a war. However, the relationship between the two sides could no longer be eased. When Sima Yue received this result, she was helping the Sparrowhawk tribe to transform. Hearing the news from Qin Mo, a satisfied smile crept onto Zhang Xian's face. The effect is not bad. It's quite satisfactory. Qin Mo saw her smile and smiled. Since the matter is settled, I'll go back first. Thank you for your help this time. Sima Yue looked at Qin Mo gratefully. When she had asked him for help, he had agreed without hesitation. She took out a jade bottle and said, "This is Little Roar's blood. I know that you haven't found the blood of the auspicious beast. Take this. When we enter the immortal land, we can still find each other based on the same auspicious beast blood." Qin Mo did not stand on ceremony. He took the jade bottle and looked at Little Roar, who was waving his claws and crying in pain. He could not help but laugh. "I won't stand on ceremony then. It's better if we can take care of each other in the immortal land." Qin Mo kept the jade bottle into his spatial ring and nodded at Sima Yue before leaving with Mu Wen and Qin Hong. After they left, Sima Yue turned to Kong Sengyi, who had just returned, and said, "This is for you." "Is this also Little Roar's?" Kong Sengyi asked. "Yes. I let it release a basin today, so it's not happy now." Sima Yue looked at Little Roar. Feeling her gaze, Little Roar snorted and turned around, his butt facing her. Kong Sengyi looked at Little Roar's expression and laughed out loud. She took the jade bottle and said, "Although we have an auspicious beast, it's better to use this if we want to have a connection with you. Then you have to talk to your father. That's easy." Kong Sengyi put away the jade bottle, pulled Shimin Feng to the side and cuddled for a while, then returned with his people. In the valley, sparrowhawks were transforming one after another. The cloud spirit disliked the fact that it had just seen Sima Yue, so it walked away after striking the sparrowhawks, ignoring her. The Sparrowhawk King looked at the situation below and listened to Sima Yue saying goodbye to her friend. Another idea came to his mind. He came to Sima Yue and knelt down. Sima Yue looked at him strangely and asked, "Sparrowhawk King, what are you doing?" "The Sparrowhawk tribe requests to follow young master." The Sparrowhawk King said firmly. "Follow me?" Sima Yue widened her eyes. "Did I hear wrongly?" "Young master, since you can let the ape tribe follow you, please let us follow you too," the Sparrowhawk King said. "We are willing to join your forces." Sima Yue blinked, looked at Shimin Feng, and then looked at the Sparrowhawk King. "Sparrowhawk King, why do you want to follow us?" Sima Yue asked. "First, because you are the king's contractor," the Sparrowhawk King said. "Another reason is that we want to strengthen ourselves. I believe that if we follow young master, our Sparrowhawk tribe will be able to go far, and not just curl up in a small place like Shisha mountain range." "Do your clansmen agree with your decision?" Sima Yue asked. "I believe that after experiencing this, they all have the same idea as me," the Sparrowhawk King said. "Besides, following our king has always been the idea of all the bird tribes." Sima Yue thought for a moment and said, "We have to discuss this matter, and you should also discuss it with your clansmen. If you still have the same idea, we will talk about it again. What do you think?" The Sparrowhawk King knew that Sima Yue had already agreed. He immediately got up and said, "I will go and discuss it with the elders." After that, he turned and left, not even caring about the clansmen below. "Senior brother Feng, or what do you think?" Sima Yue asked. Shimin Feng thought for a moment and said, "If they can join us, It will undoubtedly improve our strength. But with so many sparrowhawks, can our resources support them? This is indeed a problem. Sima Yue said. With those people from Bloodfiend City, we are already struggling to supply resources. If more people come, I am afraid that we won't be able to supply them. The Sparrowhawk tribe doesn't need much resources. Wu Lingyu said. For spirit beasts like them, we only need to give them some specific elixirs and places to practice. They don't need anything else. But Heartbreak Valley is not suitable for them to live in. Sima Yue said. We can let them stay outside Heartbreak Valley as our foreign aid. Shimin Feng said. So you agree that they should join us? Sima Yue asked. In fact, our current strength is already ranked among the top in the central region, but we have been keeping a low profile, so people don't know about us. Shimin Feng said. But many of those people are desperados. Although they are bound by an oath, they still have some bandit spirit. If we have the Sparrowhawk tribe, we can intimidate them from the side. Wu Lingyu saw that Sima Yue was still a little hesitant and asked, What are you thinking? Sima Yue sighed and said, All along, I didn't want the bird tribe to get involved in our private affairs because I didn't want to cause trouble for Little Rock. Therefore, even if the Four-Winged Rock and the Egret tribe want to follow, they can only silently protect us in the Spirit Pagoda. But once we accept the Sparrowhawk tribe, this balance will be broken. You are wrong. Little Rock's voice came through the contract. Sima Yue called Little Rock out. Little Rock, what do you think? Little Rock looked at Sima Yue gently and said, If they are forced to join your forces because of my pressure, then this is forcing them to get involved in your private affairs. But now they are not doing it because of me, but because you gave them hope and let them know that they can go further by following you. This is why they want to join. Because of you, not me. Besides. Little Rock stopped and Little Seven asked curiously, Besides what? Little Rock hesitated for a moment and said, Besides, following Crimson Flame is a blessing that their ancestors have cultivated for generations. In the future, they will understand what kind of person they are following. This book came from the Book and Book hashtag. Chapter 1063. Sima Yue finally agreed to the Sparrowhawk tribe's request to follow them. Just as Little Peng said, she couldn't force them to participate in her personal vendetta, but she also couldn't deprive them of their right to follow their king. Moreover, the Sparrowhawk tribe obeyed her and Little Peng. It was indeed a deterrent to those who had not settled down in the valley. Now that the Yinyang Palace and the Zhongzheng clan have turned against each other, if we go to the Immortal Land to deal with them, we might expose our sect. Shimin Feng said, If you want to be exposed, then do it openly in front of everyone. Sima Yue said, In the past, we kept a low profile because everything was not on the right track. Now that everything is on the right track, their strength is beyond our expectations. We can now appear in front of the world as a mature force. I will let them be mentally prepared, Shimin Feng said. But there will be a lot of trouble, Sima Yue reminded. Once the enemies of the disciples in the valley find out about their whereabouts, they might come looking for trouble. As long as they know our strength, there shouldn't be many who want to find trouble with us. We can handle it, Shimin Feng said. Okay, let me know if there's anything else, Sima Yue said. Later, they agreed on the identity of Sima Yue, saying that she had won a bet against Shimin Feng. So she became his sister, and naturally became the Deputy Lord, which was the Deputy Valley Lord of Heartbreak Valley. Little Seven also got a protector position in Heartbreak Valley. When she found out about her position, she was happy for a long time because this was her first official identity. The final result of the Sparrowhawk tribe's discussion was the same as before. They still wanted to follow her. So the two sides reached an agreement to migrate the Sparrowhawk tribe's habitat to the forest of Heartbreak Valley and become part of Heartbreak Valley. Due to the urgency of time, the Sparrowhawk tribe hurriedly packed everything and followed Sima Yue to Heartbreak Valley. The old macaque and the other two were temporarily arranged to stay in Heartbreak Valley, while the Sparrowhawk tribe chose a habitat in the forest not far away. Fortunately, in the past 2 years, the people of Heartbreak Valley had a good relationship with the surrounding spirit beasts, so it was not too troublesome to allocate a habitat. At the same time, It also informed those people that the Sparrowhawk tribe was a part of Heartbreak Valley. In the past 2 years, the surrounding spirit beasts had watched Heartbreak Valley change from a desolate valley to a place with a sect. They had watched them grow rapidly. They had never seen any force develop as quickly as they did. Now, the addition of the Sparrowhawk tribe made them even more curious about this force. What made Sima Yue even more speechless was that Honor Rock and the others had sent a message to the Four-Winged Rock tribe. After learning that the Sparrowhawk tribe had followed Sima Yue to Heartbreak Valley, the Four-Winged Rock tribe had also moved over, saying that they wanted to follow Sima Yue. Soon after, the Egret King also brought the Egret race over. Suddenly, the entire outer forest was almost unable to accommodate them. However, since they were already here, Little Rock did not ask them to go back. Sima Yue could not intervene, so she had to find a place for them to settle down. Fortunately, they did not have high requirements for other resources except for a lot of things for transformation. Otherwise, she would really feel pressured. After settling down several bird tribes, the day of the opening of the Celestial Land was about to arrive. Bring more people in. This was one of the few things Wu Lingyu said. What's wrong? Is there anything to pay attention to? Sima Yue asked. The Celestial Land is different from ordinary small realms. Its entrance is not only connected to the human world, but also to the Devil Realm and the Ghost Realm. So in addition to the human race and beasts, there will also be the Devil race and the Ghost race. Wu Lingyu explained. Sima Yue thought of the Blood Willow Tree. She remembered that Wu Lamai had said that he had seen it in a celestial land, but he did not know how it had entered the human world. Just in case, we do have to bring more people in. She said, but if we bring too many people, I'm afraid it will attract attention prematurely. Then put them in the Spirit Pagoda, Little Seven said. That won't do, Sima Yue said. Other than the people from before, the Spirit Pagoda should not be known to more people. The more people knew, the greater the potential danger. It was better not to let those who were not particularly trustworthy know. Then put them in the Little Realm, Little Seven suggested again. The Celestial Land is a special space. The Little Realm cannot be opened inside. Sima Yue shook her head. Others can't, but yours can, Wu Lingyu said. Mine can? Why? Because your little realm was refined and transformed by the Azure Great Emperor. It is not an ordinary space. Wu Lingyu said. This is the only little realm in the world that is not restricted by space. How do you know? I knew it in the past, Wu Lingyu said. She never doubted Wu Lingyu's words. Since he said it was possible, then it was possible. Then I'll put people in the little realm, Sima Yue said. The Celestial Land is so big. Even if there are many people inside, it won't be too obvious. Then you have to confirm the number of people in advance, Wu Lingyu said. Even in the Celestial Land, you have to smear the blood of the auspicious beast. Otherwise, you will be attacked by the natives inside. That's not a problem. Little Roar's strength had not recovered much, but he still had a lot of blood. After transforming into his original form, his body was even bigger and could accommodate many people. Little Roar, who was in a fit of pique with Sima Yue, suddenly trembled. He felt a chill run down his spine. Damn, who's having bad ideas about me again? He took a bite of the barbecued meat in his hand. Don't let me know. Otherwise you'll get it. Actually, he also knew who was having bad ideas about him. However, he could not directly protest because he knew that protesting would be useless. He could only pray that Yue would make more delicious food for him after releasing his blood. This time, the entrance to the Celestial Land was in a flaming mountain in western Liang. Everyone had to go there early and occupy a favorable position. Sima Yue had always been curious about how the humans knew where the entrance was due to the irregular appearance of space. Wu Lingyu told her that it was calculated by the divinator, and then announced. Hearing this answer, she was a little surprised. She always thought that the divinator was just a con man from her previous life, and was not presentable at all. However, according to Wu Lingyu's meaning, that guy's position in the mainland was not low. However, because the divinator was in the inner regions, she had never seen him before. After coming to western Liang, She knew that she was ridiculously wrong, because the divinator was not a person at all. Chapter 1064. When Wu Lingyu pointed at a group of people in white and said that they were diviners, Sima Yue was so surprised that her mouth opened slightly. Divinator is a sect. It's not really a sect, but it does have a master. Wu Lingyu saw Sima Yue's shocked expression and said, "What did you think it was?" "I always thought it was a person who could sense the heavenly axiom." Sima Yue pursed her lips. "So, all of this can be predicted?" "Actually, you're not wrong. If you want to be a divinator, you must have a certain level of talent. They can sense things in this world that we can't and make deductions." Wu Lingyu explained. "Are there so many talented people in the world?" Sima Yue asked. "This world is so big, but there aren't many people with this kind of talent. Even if they could deduce who those people were and find them, there would be very few people left in this sect. Furthermore." "And what?" Sima Yue asked. "Their talent was bestowed upon them by the heavenly Tao. If they want to use this talent, they have to pay a price." Wu Lingyu looked at the people in white with a faint look of sympathy. "What price?" Sima Yue asked curiously. "Their cultivation can only reach the divine level. Their lifespan can't exceed 500 years, and they can't have offspring." Sima Yue was stunned. "Such a heavy price? Then, are these people destined from the moment they were born?" "No. They have a choice." Wu Lingyu said. "I heard that before they became diviners, they were no different from normal people. It seemed to be about how to activate this talent. After activating it, their fates would be changed. I'm not too sure about the specifics. Normally, these people lived very secretive lives and didn't have much contact with others. If anyone wanted to find them, they could only go to their sects to find them. Those people could only wait outside the divinator's door and couldn't enter. Once they received the news, they had to leave and couldn't linger around. So outsiders knew very little about the divinators. However, because they could predict major events in the future, and could predict the time and place of the immortal lands and little realms, they had a very high status in the mainland. Even the people in the inner regions didn't dare to do anything to them. If there were really people who wanted to find trouble with them, they would predict it in advance. When those people arrived, they would leave an opening, or they would be killed by many powerhouses." Sima Yue listened to Wu Lingyu slowly explain these things to him, and became more and more curious about the divinators. However, seeing that they were resting with their eyes closed, she didn't disturb them. "When will they arrive?" Feng said that they have already rushed over. "If we go out now, we can come back with them," Sima Yue said. She and Wu Lingyu came here first to check out the situation while Shimen Feng and Bai Sheng gathered the people behind them and waited for everyone to arrive before they came again. "Then let's leave." The two of them quietly left the gathering point and went outside to meet with Shimen Feng and the rest. Tens of thousands of powerhouses were gathered in the blazing mountain range. With millions of people gathered together, their movements weren't obvious. But when a flock of birds carrying a few hundred people flew over, the scene attracted many people's attention. Who are those people? I've never seen anyone from this powerhouse before. Which powerhouse is this? I don't know. Maybe it's a newly developed powerhouse. Look at their flying beasts. They don't look like something a new powerhouse would have. Someone reminded. Those were all high-grade sacred beast mounts. Ordinary powerhouses wouldn't be able to take them out. Look at those people. They aren't weak. They don't look like a new powerhouse. Someone noticed that those people only had the strength of a high-grade god ranked. Most of them were monarch ranked and above. There were even some high-grade monarch ranked people. With this strength, they should be one of the top in the middle regions. Why haven't I seen them before? A large powerhouse was developed from a small powerhouse. If they wanted to develop, they would have to move around the continent. For a powerhouse like this, it was impossible that they hadn't heard of any news. Look, isn't that Sima Yue from Sky Heaven School? Someone recognized Sima Yue on the first flying beast and exclaimed. It's really her. Why is she with them? She's on the first flying beast. Don't tell me that's the powerhouse she formed? How is that possible? Someone immediately denied. Although she's powerful, but she's still a little baby. How could she have formed a powerhouse? But there are so many flying beasts. Other than her, who else can do it? That's true. I still feel that it's impossible. For a moment, everyone said they were right. Everyone believed in their own views. But no matter what they thought, they were all interested in this powerhouse. Look at that person. Isn't that Fui? Someone pointed at one of them and exclaimed. Fui? Didn't he escape to Bloodfiend City? Someone beside asked. Ever since Bloodfiend City was razed to the ground, Fui had disappeared. I didn't expect him to join this powerhouse. Humph, when I see him today, I must punish him on the spot. Bloodfiend City. Someone recited the name of Bloodfiend City, and suddenly his eyes lit up. Do you guys remember what happened in Bloodfiend City for a few days? You're talking about the lightning tribulation that struck for a long time. That's right. What did you think of? Bloodfiend City was struck by lightning tribulation for such a long time. But when we arrived, it had become an empty city. Didn't you guys think of anything? Don't keep us in suspense. Quickly tell us, what did you think of? Someone urged. Some time ago, I heard a rumor. The Dark Forest incident was done by this Sima Yue. The most unforgettable thing about that incident was that the lightning had struck most of the people to death. Oh, I understand what you mean. You're saying that the Bloodfiend City incident was also done by Sima Yue? But what did she do to attract such a huge lightning tribulation? Don't tell me those people in the city were all struck to death? Are you dumb? Even if they were struck by lightning, there would be remains left behind. When we went there, did we see anyone who was struck to death by lightning? Then what do you mean? I'm saying that Sima Yue was the one who brought everyone away. As for what happened in Bloodfiend City, perhaps we can ask her. Forget it. If we offend her because of this, then we'll regret it forever. When Sima Yue and the others flew over, they were greeted with many pairs of curious eyes and endless discussions. There were also a few gazes filled with hatred. Chapter 1065. Fui, hand over your life. Just as Sima Yue and the rest approached the flaming mountains, someone immediately jumped out. With a shout, a wave of spiritual energy shot towards them. Yu, let me do it. Little Seven waved her hand, and the spiritual energy was easily dissolved by her. Standing behind Sima Yue was a man. When he saw who it was, his expression changed instantly. Who are you? Little Seven asked the person who attacked her after dissolving the attack. We are from the Fu family of East Ridge. We don't want to be your enemy, so you better hand over Fui. A man from the Fu family took a step forward. He should be someone from the Fu family who had some authority. Fu family of Dongling? Sima Yue looked at them. Fui, come out. When Fui heard Sima Yue's words, he leaped to their side. He stared at the Fu family and said, Valley Lord, Deputy Valley Lord, this is between Fui and them. I will settle it. After saying that, he prepared to confront the Fu family. Stop right there. Sima Yue stopped him. If it was someone else who spoke, Fui probably wouldn't have bothered. But after the incident in Bloodfiend City, they had formed a strict prohibition against Sima Yue. When Sima Yue saw that he did not rush out, she looked at the Fu family and said, This? Fu-sun, the leader of the Fu clan. The man said, Fu-sun, I want to know what enmity do you have with Fui? You must be from the same family, right? Sima Yue asked with a smile. Fui violated the family rules and has long been expelled from the family. How can he still be considered a member of the Fu family? Fu-sun said, Are you all planning to protect him? What kind of power are you? This last question was on everyone's mind, so when he asked, everyone turned to look at Sima Yue. I am Sima Yue, the Vice Valley Lord of Heartbreak Valley. This is our Valley Lord. Sima Yue introduced herself, then introduced Shimin Feng. Then, she cupped her hands towards everyone present and said, Hello everyone, we are the newly established force, Heartbreak Valley. Please take care of us in the future. Shimin Feng said to the people present. If you want us to take care of you, hand over our enemy first. Fu-sun coldly snorted. That's impossible. Xi Minfeng shook his head and said, Fu Yi is a disciple of Heartbreak Valley. He did not betray us. We will not let him face danger alone. So you're not going to let him go? Fu Sen's face became even more gloomy. Looking at Xi Minfeng and others, he was calculating in his heart how much certainty he would have if he were to face them head-on. Don't be angry, Sima Yue said. We can sit down and talk. Only if you hand over Fu Yi will there be a need for us to talk. Fu Sen did not back down. It seems like young Master Fu is unwilling to talk to us, Sima Yue said. It's you who is not sincere. Fu Sen was not an impulsive and reckless person, but when it came to Fu Yi, his attitude was very firm. When they joined Heartbreak Valley, I said that I would not let them face their former enemy alone. Sima Yue said. Since I said this before, I will not go back on my words today. So Heartbreak Valley can't do your request. So you're saying that you want to be enemies with Fu Clan? Fu Sen asked with a dark face. Sima Yue shook her head and said, Heartbreak Valley has just been established not long ago. Naturally, we don't want to be enemies with everyone. But since we're a sect, we naturally have our bottom line. Protecting our sect's disciples is our bottom line. Even if they will bring disaster to your sect? Someone on the side asked. Although we're a small sect, it's not that easy to exterminate a clan, Sima Yue said confidently. What an arrogant tone, a girl said with contempt and praise. Just based on your newly established sect, you dare to say such arrogant words, a Fu Clan disciple said sarcastically. Although our sect is small, I think that if something really happens, there will be more people who will come to help us, Sima Yue said. When she said that, everyone then remembered her identity. The King of the Rocks was a contractor, the champion of the alchemy competition, the honorary elder of the Alchemist Guild, and the Pill subdivision. At the same time, she was also the Junior Valley Master of Divine Devil Valley, a student of Heavenly Sect. Not only that, those who knew her also knew her identity as an Array Master, Seeker Spirit Master and Beast Tamer. So if something really happened to her, those forces would definitely not stand by and watch. If she appealed, there would be many people who would work for her. Moreover, other than this, when she was attacked by Little Tu's clansmen in the Dark Forest, Feng Ruyan's strength made people guess that there was some force behind her supporting her. Junior Valley Master, although I heard the news, but I am still surprised to see that you have established a force. A Divine Devil Valley disciple walked over and greeted Sima Yue excitedly. Before this, Sima Yue told Liang Wuming about Heartbreak Valley. When they found out that she had already established a force for 2 years, the entire Divine Devil Valley was surprised. But they were still very supportive of Sima Yue. You little brat, you actually established a sect and didn't tell us. If we knew earlier, we could have celebrated on the day of the establishment of the sect. Mao San Quan brought some teachers from Heavenly Sect over, and pretended to be angry as he stared at her. Sima Yue knew that they were indirectly telling others that if something really happened, they would stand on her side. Instructor Mao, after we come out from the Wonderland, I will definitely invite you to Heartbreak Valley. She smiled. What about us? The Divine Devil Valley people asked. Of course we will go together, Sima Yue said. The Fu family saw that Sima Yue and the others were still reminiscing about the old days, and their anger grew. Heartbreak Valley people, hand over Fu Yi. Otherwise, don't blame us for making you our enemy. Someone behind Fu Sen shouted. Do you really think that we are afraid of you? Little Seven rolled up her sleeves and stared at the Fu family, ready to attack anytime. Sima Yue saw that the Fu family wasn't anxious at all. Are you sure you want to attack us here? Outside the Wonderland? Who dares to attack the Violet Water Dragon clan's 10th prince? A voice came from the sky and a space tunnel opened. Wu Lamai brought the Violet Water Dragon clan people out and stared angrily at the people who were present. Everyone saw the Violet Water Dragon clan people coming out and immediately surrounding Sima Yue, and were quite surprised. They all knew about the Violet Water Dragon clan in the 9th Star Ocean, but they had never heard of the Violet Water Dragon clan having a 10th prince. Sima Yue saw Wu Lamai and Shui Qingman, and flew up to welcome them. She held Shui Qingman's hand and said, Godfather, godmother, I thought that you wouldn't come this time. Chapter 1066. Foster Father and Foster Mother? Everyone was even more shocked when they saw how intimate Shui Qingman and Sima Yue were. The Violet Water Dragon tribe had always been arrogant. Since when did they get so close to humans? Wu Lamai glared at Fu Sun and said, "Are you bullying my child? Who dares to bully our 10th brother?" Wu La snorted coldly and looked at those people with hostility. "If you want to bully our 10th brother, you'll have to ask for our permission first." Wu Lali glared at Fu Sun, his eyes cold. The Fu family members were stunned by this sudden scene. How many people were behind Sima Yue? More importantly, they were not here to fight with others, but for the immortal realm. If they really fought, with so many people, they would not be able to gain any advantage. However, the words had already been spoken. If they were to back down now, how would they face the entire continent? Everyone in the Fu family realized this problem, and their faces did not look good. Fortunately, Sima Yue did not want to be enemies with them. Seeing how protective her adoptive parents were of her, she smiled and said, "Adoptive father, adoptive mother, it's fine. It's just that we had some differences in opinion just now. We didn't really want to fight." "Really?" Wu Lamai turned to look at her. "Really?" Sima Yue nodded affirmatively. As the saying goes, it's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. Am I right, young Master Fu? Fu Sun looked at Sima Yue and his heart was in turmoil. It was just a new force, but it was in existence that they could not afford to offend. However, the other party didn't force him. Instead, he gave him a way out. "The Vice Valley Lord is right. Although Fu Yi and we had some disagreements before, since you said so, we will not pursue it today," Fu Sun said. If he didn't pursue the matter today, he naturally wouldn't come knocking on his door again in the future. Sima Yue smiled. "Thank you for your understanding, young Master Fu." "You're welcome." Fu Sun cupped his hands at Sima Yue and left with his family. Sima Yue looked at everyone and said, "I think everyone already knows about what happened in Blood Fiend City. Today, my Heartbreak Valley will make a statement. More than half of the people in Blood Fiend City have already joined my Heartbreak Valley and are a part of our valley. I know that they have a lot of hatred with you, but I still say the same thing. Heartbreak Valley will not give up on a disciple. If they have any hatred with you, I hope we can resolve it. If you really can't resolve it, Heartbreak Valley is always waiting for you." Her words revealed a few meanings, and everyone caught them. First, she said that many people in Heartbreak Valley were from Blood Fiend City. In view of the past, many people would have some conflicts, but Heartbreak Valley would not give up a person, so there was no need to talk about handing over someone. Secondly, there are so many people in Blood Fiend City and most of them are in Heartbreak Valley. You all know how many people there were in Blood Fiend City in the past, and how strong they were. So you should know how many people there are in Heartbreak Valley. If there aren't tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, don't come looking for trouble. Third, if you want to deal with us, then come to Heartbreak Valley. If you can enter Heartbreak Valley, then come to us. The fourth meaning was that she didn't say it out, but everyone understood that the forces behind her were not ordinary people. If you think you can offend them, then come. Of course, you can also go and gather forces to help, but if you think you can fight against the number of the entire bird clan, they won't mind. But what was the most common clan in this world? Wasn't it the bird clan? Even if there was a difference between the eagle clan, phoenix, egret and so on, they were still bird clans after all. But the spirit beast clans on land were different. Even tigers and elephants would not be the same clan. So if you want to compete with the bird clan, no one can win. Thinking of this, some people who wanted to find trouble with Heartbreak Valley hesitated. Even if they really formed a camp and went to Heartbreak Valley, could this camp be as strong as the bird clan? Besides, could they really enter Heartbreak Valley? Don't forget, this Heartbreak Valley was one of the 3 poisonous places. Very few people could enter. Looking at all the factors, they found that this force that suddenly appeared turned out to be an existence that couldn't be provoked. Fortunately, this Valley Lord and Deputy Valley Lord lowered their posture, and also showed that they were willing to be on good terms with them. Instead of becoming enemies with such a force because of one person, it was better to bury the hatchet and be on good terms with them. Sima Yue was very satisfied with the effect created by Heartbreak Valley. She didn't want all the forces to be like this, but as long as it was a small part, they could deal with it. On the top of the mountain in the distance, a silver-haired man looked at Sima Yue. Seeing her high-spirited face, he whispered softly, "Is this that woman?" "Master, what are you talking about?" A 10-year-old child heard his words and looked up at him. "Xiaoxi, I've told you many times, I'm not your master now." The silver-haired man touched Xiaoxi's head. "I said, wait until you're 20 years old before making a decision." "Master, Xiaoxi wants to be a fortune teller. Even if I'm 20 years old, Xiaoxi will still make this choice." Xiaoxi's little face was full of determination. He wanted to become a fortune teller, so that he could calculate who killed his parents. This idea had never changed since his master Yinlin found him. Yinlin saw the pain in his eyes and knew why he was like this. But fortune tellers had an unsurpassable restriction. That was, they couldn't calculate things about people who hadn't become fortune tellers yet. Yinlin could calculate when and where he would meet Xiaoxi, but he couldn't calculate what happened to him, because this might affect their choice. Becoming a fortune teller had glory and sacrifice, so this path had to be chosen by them. Others couldn't interfere. "If you're still like this when you're 20 years old, I'll open your heaven's eye for you." "Thank you, master." Xiaoxi smiled, but that smile didn't have the innocence of an ordinary child. Let's get to know that person." Yinlin slowly walked down the mountain. "Master, we've never taken the initiative to get to know someone before, why this time?" Xiaoxi didn't understand. "Because she will be a person who will stir up the winds and clouds of heaven and earth." Sima Yue was talking to Shui Qing Man and the others. Wu Lingyu came to her side and said, "Yinlin is here." "Who's Yinlin?" "The master of fortune tellers." Sima Yue followed Wu Lingyu's gaze, and saw a silver-haired man with unfocused eyes walking over. His eyes? When fortune tellers reach a certain realm, they will become blind. But they all have heaven's eye, so it won't affect their vision. Wu Lingyu explained. Chapter 1067. Everyone's expression changed when they saw Yinlin coming over. Those who were chatting stopped and bowed respectfully. "Lord Yinlin." A faint smile hung on the corner of Yinlin's mouth. He didn't respond to them, but they didn't feel that he was arrogant. Instead, they felt a sense of familiarity. He walked in front of Sima Yue and said, "I am Yinlin. May I speak to young Master Sima alone?" Sima Yue was stunned. Wasn't he being too direct? She glanced at Wu Lingyu. Seeing him nod slightly, she smiled and said, "Sir Yinlin, please." Vice Valley Lord. Now that the Immortal Land could open at any time, what if she couldn't make it in time? Don't worry, the entrance to the Immortal Land won't open so early. Yinlin understood that person's thoughts and said softly, "Young Master Sima, please." Master Yinlin wanted to talk to Sima Yue alone, which shocked the people outside. As the youngest divinator sect master, Lord Yinlin could be said to be the most powerful divinator in the past 10,000 years. He had never come into contact with anyone alone, let alone take the initiative to look for that person. All of a sudden, their view of Sima Yue changed again and again. A person that even Sir Yinlin took the initiative to invite. Then this person Sima Yue and Yinlin came to the mouth of a volcano nearby. The people on the mountain automatically came to the foot of the mountain to give them a private environment. Yinlin casually waved his hand and set up a barrier around them to prevent others from hearing their conversation. When Sima Yue saw this, she was slightly surprised and said, "Why is Yinlin looking for me?" Yinlin gave her a similar feeling to Xian Qiuhe. They were both elegant men, so when she spoke to him, she subconsciously lowered her voice. "I have something to say to you." Yinlin could feel Sima Yue's kindness. He smiled and said, "Miss Yue, let me apologize to you first." Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. She knew her identity? She immediately felt relieved. He even knew the entrance to the immortal realm, so it wasn't surprising that he knew her identity as a woman. "Why are you apologizing to me?" she asked. "Because of something I said. You had no choice but to disguise yourself as a man for so many years. Yinlin said apologetically. So that prophecy was said by Lord Yinlin. Sima Yue was stunned for a moment before she reacted. Only they would be able to say something like that. Only they would be able to make the people of the Sage Pavilion kill all female spirit masters who had more than 4 attributes at all costs. I owed him a favor in the past. Yinlin said, as if he was explaining. Sima Yu saw his goodwill in her eyes. Although she didn't understand why he was like this, she still accepted his goodwill for such an amiable boss of the divinator. You didn't let me down in this matter. Sima Yu said. Although I had no choice but to disguise as a man, the pressure forced me to work harder to grow. Moreover, you didn't know me before. Or rather, when you said that prophecy, I wasn't even born yet. Yinlin didn't expect Sima Yue to be so understanding. If it was a normal person who saw someone who had to disguise herself as a man for so many years, they wouldn't be so calm. What you said is both right and wrong. Yinlin said. As Sima Yue, you weren't born at that time. But to Yue Shimen, you had already lived for many years. Sima Yue looked at Yinlin with vigilance. He knew her identity. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Yinlin saw her change and said. Sima Yue calmed herself down and smiled. Thank you. Do you think that Shimen Yue and Sima Yue are related? Yinlin asked. I don't think so. Sima Yue couldn't think of any connection. You are her, she is you. Yinlin said. You are the same person. We are the same person? Sima Yue was a little surprised. I saw her soul at that time. She was complete and independent, and she dissipated in the end. It wasn't like Wu Lingyu who was incomplete before she fused with him. Yinlin shook his head. Your soul is different from the people in this world. When you came to this world, you split into 2. One part of you became Shimen Yue with your memories, and the other part became Sima Yue without any memories. The dissipation you saw was just it returning to your main body. Sima Yue was dumbfounded. It was actually like that. Yinlin saw her surprise and said, otherwise, why do you think you could survive in her body? I always thought that it was because I was reborn. Sima Yue said blankly. No, your rebirth has nothing to do with this. Yinlin said. You belong to this world. The previous world was just a mistake, so everything returned to normal. If we belong to the same soul, why is there such a big difference in age? Sima Yue asked, confused. You became Shimen Yue the moment you came. She drifted in the world for a while before she became Sima Yue. Yinlin said. But because both of you are one and have a mutual attraction relationship, that's why you entered her body after you died, and both of your souls truly merged into one. So, I am indeed Sima Yue, and her parents are also my parents. Sima Yue said blankly. Then the problem I was struggling with before is no longer a problem. Thank you, Master Yinlin. After knowing this, her troubled heart suddenly became clear. She was still their child, and when she faced them in the future, she didn't need to feel guilty. You're welcome. Yue has a question. Sima Yue kept her excitement and calmed herself down. Please ask. Why are you telling me this? Sima Yue asked. Because you have doubts in your eyes, and I just happen to know about it. Yinlin saw that she kept staring at him, and didn't really believe his words. He could only be honest and said, I'm looking for you because I have something to ask of you. This is just a small gift from me to you. You have something to ask of me? Yue is just a lowly person. Compared to those people that Master Yinlin knows, you are far inferior. Why do you want to ask me for help? Sima Yue asked. Because this is something that only you can do. Can you promise me? Yinlin still had a smile on his face, but his gaze became serious. Only she could do it? Sima Yue felt pressured. She felt that the thing he was talking about wasn't a small matter, and it wasn't something that could be easily done. Can I know what it is first? Chapter 1068. Title: Zhang Yinlin's Request. Author Sima Yue looked at Yinlin's handsome face and felt that he would say something bad. As expected, when Yinlin finished speaking, She felt that the pressure wasn't normal. He said, "After you reach the immortal realm, if you meet someone from the ghost clan, you must obtain the 100 ghost banner. Why? That thing is only safe in your hands. Moreover, it will be even more useful in the future." Inlin said. Sima Yue wanted to ask why it was safe in her hands, and what use it would have in the future. However, seeing that Inlin didn't intend to explain, she tactfully didn't ask and changed her question. "Why do I have to do this? There are many people who are stronger than me. I already said that this thing is only safe in your hands. If someone else were to do it, wouldn't it end up in someone else's hands?" Inlin said. Sima Yoyue's intuition told her that this was not the reason. Inlin saw through her thoughts. He only smiled and did not give any other explanation. The 100 ghost streamer could not be snatched away. Only she could get it. The people at the foot of the mountain looked at the two people talking. They had never seen Inlin talk to anyone for so long. For those people who went to do the divination, being able to see his face and get a word from him was already considered a great honor. When some of the inner circle forces who had arrived saw this, they were surprised and asked what had happened. When they found out what had happened, they were all shocked, especially when they knew that they had been alone on the mountain for half an hour. They felt that it was impossible. However, under the watchful eyes of everyone, this happened. This made those forces in the inner region take her seriously, and also took Heartbreak Valley's force seriously. "Is that Sima Yue?" A man in front of Sima Luyan looked at Sima Yue. Ever since the alchemy competition, they knew about Sima Yue and investigated her background. They couldn't help but sigh when they thought about how such a talented junior wasn't from their own clan. "If only such a junior was from my Sima family." Sima Luyan heard their sighs, his eyes flashed, his thin lips pursed, but he didn't say anything. "I wonder how they will react when they find out the truth." Sima Yue didn't know what changes her conversation with Inlin had brought to her. Some of the hidden dangers had been resolved by him. When they came down, the way everyone looked at Sima Yue had changed. "Master." Xiaoxi went up to Inlin's side. Inlin rubbed Xiaoxi's head and said to Sima Yue, "If Xiaoxi becomes a divinator in the future, please take care of him. He will help you in return." Xiaoxi understood Inlin's meaning and bowed towards Sima Yue saying, "Please take care of me, young Master Sima." Sima Yue was shocked by their actions and hurriedly said, "Master Inlin, you're exaggerating. If there's anything in the future, just let Yue know." "Xiaoxi, hurry up and thank young Master Sima." Inlin said. "Xiaoxi thanks young Master Sima." Xiaoxi bowed again. "Let's go back." Inlin brought Xiaoxi back to where the disciples were after he finished speaking. This conversation with a hint of trust made Sima Yoyue's position in their hearts go up another level. Even Master Inlin said so. That meant that she wouldn't be an ordinary person in the future. Sima Yue returned to Shui Qingman's side. Wu Lingyu said, "Inlin helped you solve a lot of problems." Sima Yue naturally understood what he meant. Because of Inlin, those who were scheming wouldn't dare to do anything to them. "I should thank him," she said softly, thinking of their conversation on the mountain, and how he helped her untie the knot in her heart, as well as how he helped her solve those problems unknowingly. She was grateful to Inlin. Just like what she said, if the divinators needed anything, she would do her best to help. "Oh right, foster mother, let me check your body again," Sima Yue said. "Yes, let Yue check your body," Wu Lamai said. Shui Qingman nodded and let Sima Yue check her body. Sima Yue checked her pulse and inserted spiritual energy into her body. Her face was serious. "What's wrong? Is mother's condition not good? Or is little 11 not good?" Wu Laxiu asked worriedly. Because Sima Yue was ranked 10th, the one in Shui Qingman's stomach became the 11th. "Nothing's not good." Sima Yue saw that they were frightened by her and quickly said, "Then you didn't look good just now." "My condition is indeed not good," Sima Yue said. "Not good? What's not good? Didn't you just say that there's nothing wrong?" Wu Lamai panicked. He trusted Sima Yoyue's medical skills very much. If she said that something was not good, then something must be wrong. "Foster father, don't be anxious," Sima Yue said. "Foster mother's body is very good, There's nothing wrong. Then what do you mean by not good? Wu Lalu asked. Although there's still some time before foster mother's due date, I heard that when we enter the immortal land, there will be space pressure. I'm afraid that the due date will be brought forward, Sima Yue said. Will it affect the baby? Wu Lalu asked. No, it won't, Sima Yue said. The baby has already grown up with our previous nourishment. Even if it's brought forward, it won't affect him much. That's good. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Sima Yue looked at them and blinked, saying, Shouldn't you all be worried that foster mother won't go to the immortal land? Wu Lalu and the rest looked at Shui Qingman helplessly. How could they change her decision? Mother? Sima Yue looked at Shui Qingman, wanting to know what she meant. Shui Qingman smiled, with a childlike playfulness. I haven't been to the immortal land when it opened in the past. This time I have to go in and take a look. Sima Yue didn't expect her to think this way. No wonder her brothers didn't persuade her. But this immortal land might open for a few years. Do you want to give birth in there? She wanted to try harder. It's good to give birth in the immortal land. It'll be different from his brothers. Shui Qingman said. All right, since foster mother has said so, then let's go. Sima Yue said. But it's best that we stay together when we go in. I'm afraid that you'll give birth in advance. All right. An object emitting a golden light let out a clear cry in the air, causing everyone to become excited. The immortal land is opening. Chapter 1069. That little golden light let out a long cry before falling back into Yinlin's hand. At this moment, many volcanoes emitted a burst of golden light, indicating that the immortal land had truly opened. Fine, colorful, oriental, literary, learning hand hit. For the latest chapter, please go to other than the mountain pass that Yinlin was at. The other mountain passes were all filled with people. Everyone rushed into the various mountain passes one after another. Sima Yue could not help but be speechless when she saw the huge crowd rushing forward. Some of them even started fighting in order to be first. Isn't this too exaggerated? Anian Yi's eyes widened when he saw this scene. There are so many people in front of us. When can we go in? Little Seven frowned. Let's wait. When they go in, we can go. Mao Sanquan was not in a hurry. In this immortal land, those who entered first might not necessarily be the first to obtain the opportunity, so there was no need to be so impatient. But with so many people at this speed, I'm afraid we'll have to wait for a long time before it's our turn. Feng Kai said. Young Master Sima, you can leave from my side. Yinlin's voice was heard. Sima Yue looked over. He smiled and nodded at her. Yu, are we going? Little Seven looked up and asked. Let's go, Sima Yue said. They invited us out of kindness. We can't turn them down. Let's go up. Shimen Feng said to the people of Heartbreak Valley. The people from Heavenly Sect, Violet Water Dragon Clan, and Divine Devil Valley were all with Heartbreak Valley. If Heartbreak Valley's people wanted to go, they naturally had to go as well. The entrance is very big, don't crowd. Everyone can go in, follow the order. Fan Lei called out to the students of the academy, at the same time reminding the people of Heartbreak Valley and Violet Water Dragon Clan. Fenger, bring them in first, Sima Yue said. Shimen Feng nodded, and took the lead to fly into the crater of the volcano. Aren't you in a hurry to go in? Yinlin saw that Sima Yue wasn't in a hurry and asked. If it's mine, it's mine. It won't disappear just because I went in a few minutes later, Sima Yue said. You have a good mentality. Yinlin said meaningfully. Why aren't you guys going in? Sima Yue asked. Yinlin shook his head and said. We're not going. The opportunities inside don't belong to us. After you enter, you can go to a place where you can find your opportunities. Where? Seven asked. After entering, head east all the way. The place where red flowers fill the sky is where the opportunity lies. Yinlin said. Thank you, Sima Yue said gratefully. It's too early for you to thank me. Yinlin interrupted her. I'll also remind you that the gates to the demon realm, ghost realm, and celestial realm have also opened. You have to be careful when you go in. Got it, Sima Yue replied. You have a great opportunity. If too many people are together, it will scatter your opportunity. Therefore, it is best for you to leave the group. They won't encounter any major calamity this time. Sima Yue saw that Yin Lin was standing there without any intention of going in, so she asked, "Aren't you going in?" The wind blew over and blew Yin Lin's silver hair, making him look even more celestial. The opportunities inside don't belong to us. Even if we go in, it would be a wasted trip. We have already received blessings from the heavens. We can't be greedy, Yin Lin said. However, if it's possible, I would like to ask you to bring something out for me. What do you want to bring? A bottle of water. A bottle of water? What water? The clearest water you've ever seen. Sima Yue frowned. Isn't there a standard? What if the water I bring out isn't what you want? That will depend on you. If you can bring out the water that I want, I will tell you a piece of information in return, Yin Lin said. What information? It's about your father. Sima Yue's body trembled as she looked at Yin Lin in shock. You know where my father is? Young Master Sima, if you want to get the information, you have to pay the price first. Yin Lin said, when you come back, you will know whether you can get the information or not. Sima Yue's heart was hooked. However, she also understood that if Yin Lin didn't want to say it now, it wouldn't work no matter how she forced him. Yin Lin was still smiling faintly. Seeing that most of the people from Heartbreak Valley had entered, he said, You should go in quickly too. I will wait for you when you come out. Sima Yue understood that it was useless to say more. She cupped her hands towards Yin Lin and flew towards the crater with Wu Lingyu. This crater would erupt from time to time. In the past, when they stood at the crater and looked down, they would see red magma. However, looking down now, there was a layer of faint ripples on top of the magma. After those people flew down, they disappeared when they touched the ripples. After the people from Heartbreak Valley, Divine Devil Valley, Heavenly Sect and Violet Water Dragon Clan had all flown in, Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu were the last to fly in. From then on, all the people from the four powers had entered the immortal land. When the people from the other powers saw that Sima Yue and the rest had entered so quickly, they were filled with envy and jealousy. Why weren't they invited by Yin Lin? He was too good to Sima Yue. However, they could only grumble in their hearts. After all, no one had the guts to ask Yin Lin to let them in. Sima Yue flew down from the crater. When she touched the ripples, she felt that her body was sucked in by a strong force and was then squeezed by the space. However, that pressure only lasted for a few breaths of time. Following that, she felt that she was surrounded by a warm energy. She turned her head and looked at Wu Lingyu. She smiled gratefully. Wu Lingyu looked at her sparkling eyes and smiled. He was in a good mood. They flew through the barrier for more than half an hour. Finally, the pressure on their bodies disappeared completely. They fell out of the ripples in the space. Oh, my small waist fell. A stocky man sat up from the ground with one hand on his waist. PFFF. The person at the side was about to get up. When he said that, he lost his cultivation and fell down again. Sima Yue landed successfully with the help of Wu Lingyu. Hearing that, she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Mother, mother. Mother, what happened to you? Wu La Lu and his brother exclaimed. Her attention was immediately attracted. Qingman, what happened to you? Yue, come and take a look at your mother. Wu La Mai exclaimed in a panic. Sima Yue and Shui Qingman were further away. When they heard Wu La Lu and his brother's exclamation, they immediately teleported over. Shui Qingman was lying on the ground. Her head was lowered, and she was holding her stomach. She looked like she was in pain. Then she seemed to be in discomfort. She let out a long cry and transformed into her original form. Sima Yue hurried over to take a look at her. She said, Oh no, mother is being pressured by the space. She's going to give birth now. This book came from Chapter 1070. Read 336. Knowing that she was about to give birth, Wu La Mai and the others weren't that worried. After all, they had their previous experience, so it wouldn't be too dangerous. Because it happened so suddenly, they were scared out of their wits. However, The stone in their hearts had been completely lifted. Sima Yuyu's following words made their hearts hang. My foster mother's condition is more serious than I expected. She is being squeezed by space, and there are signs of dystocia. What? What should we do? Wu Laxiu cried out. Shui Qingman let out a painful groan. Sima Yue looked around anxiously. They were in the middle of a desert, and there was no water source. Wu Lamai and the rest also knew that Shui Qingman gave birth best in the water. They sensed the surroundings and indeed did not discover any water source. No, I can't wait any longer. Sima Yue looked at everyone present, and took out a small door. She opened it and brought Shui Qingman and the rest in. Everyone present followed her in. For a moment, there was no one left in the desert. Not long after they left, a large group of people flew over on flying beasts. I clearly felt that there was someone here earlier. Why is it gone? Looking at the empty desert, they were puzzled. Since there's nothing here, let's go to the next place. The purpose of this trip is not only to obtain fortuitous opportunities, but also to remember our mission. Don't worry, this time we will definitely turn this continent upside down. It's just a pity for our brothers. In order to let more people in, they diluted the blood of the auspicious beasts. Therefore, some people did not meet the requirements. When they flew into the crater, they did not enter the ripples. Instead, they fell into the magma and were melted by the magma. Only those with high strength and quick reflexes managed to survive by putting up a protective barrier the moment they fell into the lava. Let's go to the next location. The leader ordered, and the flying beast took them to the next location. In front of him was a smooth piece of jade. There was a golden dot and many red dots on it. The dots above were moving slowly. In the little realm, the people who came in for the first time were all stunned. Seeing hundreds of thousands of people living inside, they were so shocked that they couldn't make a sound. Especially when they knew that these people were the desperados of Bloodfiend City. The expression on their faces kept changing. It was no wonder that Sima Yue dared to be so tough in front of so many forces. If she really went out, with her backup, who would dare to offend her? However, what they didn't know was that these people didn't belong to Sima Yue. They had an agreement that unless it was a matter of life and death, they wouldn't make a move. In return, Sima Yue provided them with such a stable life. The reason why Sima Yue brought those people in was because she did not know what they would think if she suddenly disappeared. Instead of being discovered and having to explain later, it was better to bring them in together. After she came in, she didn't bother about those people. Instead, she brought Shui Qingman to the lake that was prepared for her. Once she touched the water, Shui Qingman felt much better. However, she was still in pain. It was much more difficult than giving birth to any other child. Wu Lamai and his 9 sons stood by the lake. Seeing Shui Qingman groaning in pain in the water, they were all worried. However, they couldn't do anything. They could only place their hopes on Sima Yue. Sima Yue took out a few elixirs for Shui Qingman to eat. These were the elixirs that she refined for Shui Qingman. She didn't expect to use them so soon. After eating the elixirs, she transferred some spiritual energy to Shui Qingman's abdomen. After finding the fetus, she wrapped it up. That dragon egg was originally a little anxious. It kept bumping around in Shui Qingman's abdomen. After being wrapped by Sima Yue's spiritual energy, it quietened down and Shui Qingman felt much better. Plus, the elixirs started to take effect. She felt that she had regained a lot of energy. Foster mother, do you feel better? Sima Yue came out of the water and asked Shui Qingman. Shui Qingman nodded. She did feel much better now. I just realized that your body was blocked. That's why you had a difficult birth. I'll use my spiritual energy to help you clear it later. Cooperate with my spiritual energy and use all your strength. When I tell you to use all your strength, use all your strength. Do you understand? Okay. Roar. Sima Yue dived into the water again. Luckily, she ate the water-repellent pearl that Wu Lamai gave her. Breathing underwater wasn't a problem. If not, she didn't know what would happen. 2 hours later, Sima Yue finally came out of the water with a tired face. However, the smile on her face made everyone feel relieved. Foster mother has given birth. Both mother and child are safe. Hearing this, The people on the shore were completely relieved. Following that, an egg with purple and gold patterns floated up from the bottom of the water. It was very different from the purple dragon egg in the past. Wu Lamai couldn't take it anymore, and jumped into the water to accompany Shui Qingman. He didn't even notice the dragon egg that came out of the water. The brothers on the shore couldn't stay calm. They looked at the purple and gold egg and frowned. Why does this dragon egg look like this? We weren't like this in the past. That's right. We were all purple. Why is it like this? Wu Laxiu asked curiously. What kind of dragon has a gold color? Wu Lamai asked. Wu Lamai, who was accompanying Shui Qingman, trembled. He turned around and looked at the egg that was jumping up and down in the water. When he saw the golden patterns on it, he was so shocked that he couldn't speak. However, his face was filled with excitement. Wu Lamai saw Wu Lamai's reaction and asked, Father, do you know what's going on with 11? Everyone looked at Wu Lamai and waited for his answer. Azure Dragon of the East, White Tiger of the West, Vermilion Bird of the South, Black Tortoise of the North. Wu Lamai mumbled. When he said that, everyone's expression changed. Father, you're saying that little 11 is the Azure Dragon? Wu Laxiu swallowed his saliva and finally said that sentence. Sima Yue looked at little 11. This guy was the Azure Dragon? The Azure Dragon was green. Wasn't little 11 golden? The Azure Dragon isn't green. Wu Lamai said. Sima Yue then realized that she had said the last sentence. The Azure Dragon isn't green? Then why is it called the Azure Dragon? Sima Yue asked. The divine dragon is from the east. Green is the attribute of the east. Actually, the divine dragon is golden in color. That's why it's called the golden dragon and the Azure Dragon. Wu Lamai explained. Then little 11 is really the divine dragon? Wu Lamai asked. The eggshell is still purple. I think it's the mutation of the bloodline that activated the divine dragon bloodline in our bodies. He can't be considered a divine dragon yet, but his bloodline is much higher than ours. When the bloodline is truly awakened, we can once again have Lord Divine Dragon. The more Wu Lamai spoke, the more excited he became. His gaze towards little 11 was filled with infinite hope. This book came from the website. Chapter 1071. The Future Master Dragon God. Not only the Violet Water Dragon tribe, but everyone in the small realm was excited. The dragon god was the same as the White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise. They had always existed in legends. The world's understanding of them only existed in ancient books. Now that the Lord Dragon God had appeared, one could imagine the reaction it would cause. Sima Yue recalled that in her previous life, she had seen on the internet that the green dragon was green in color. Since the world was different, perhaps there would be some changes. Little 11 jumped in the water for a while and flew into Shui Qingman's arms. Shui Qingman turned into her human form after giving birth. She had used up a lot of energy just now. Now she was weak and laid in Wu Lamai's arms. Little 11's egg was more than a meter tall. When it got close to Shui Qingman, it suddenly emitted a purplish golden light. When the light dissipated, the egg shrunk to about 30 to 40 centimeters long. Little 11 didn't know how to speak yet, but everyone could feel that it was deeply attached to Shui Qingman. What a good child. Shui Qingman caressed little 11 lovingly. No matter if you're good or bad, a divine dragon or an ordinary dragon, you're still my child. Oh. Little 11 let out a cheerful cry, but because he was still too young, he couldn't control his pressure. The pressure of his bloodline directly pressed down on the Violet Water Dragon clan members present, making them breathless. What a powerful pressure. Ugh. Shui Qingman's body was weaker. She spat out a mouthful of blood from this sudden attack. Godmother. Sima Yue shouted and swam towards her. Qingman. Wu Lamai saw Shui Qingman vomiting blood and in a panic he threw little 11 out. Sima Yue swam over and little 11 landed in her arms. Woo woo. Little 11 also saw that his mother was hurt by him. He cried in Sima Yue's arms. Sima Yue patted little 11's head and continued swimming with him. Red flame suddenly appeared in front of everyone and stared at the egg in Sima Yue's hand. Give it to me. Sima Yue did not expect Qi Yan to come out. Although he looked the same as usual, she knew that he was suppressing his emotions. Qi Yan, why did you come out? Sima Yue handed 11 over to him and asked. But Crimson Flame ignored her, holding little 11 and staring at it. Sima Yue saw that he was ignoring her and remembered that Shui Qingman was injured just now. She knew that he wouldn't hurt little 11, so she walked around him and went to Shui Qingman's side. The moment Crimson Flame came out, everyone felt a strong aura coming from him, and they were all guessing who he was. Godmother, let me take a look at you. Sima Yue came to Shui Qingman's side and stretched out her hand to check her pulse, but her hand was grabbed by Shui Qingman instead. Yue, who is that? Will he hurt little 11? Shui Qingman saw Qi Yan staring at little 11 coldly, and thought of that terrifying aura. She was extremely worried. Sima Yue patted her hand and comforted her. Mother, don't worry. He is my natal contracted beast. I won't hurt 11. Your bonded beast. Wu Lamai cried out in surprise. The person that even he was afraid of was actually her contracted beast? Sima Yue nodded and said, it was a coincidence. Mother, let me take a look at you first. Shui Qingman nodded helplessly, but her gaze never left Crimson Flame. Although she got Sima Yue's guarantee, she was still worried. But they might not be able to defeat him, so they could only watch him carry little 11. When Sima Yue was checking Shui Qingman, she suddenly heard a painful cry, followed by Shui Qingman's anxious voice. Little 11. Don't hurt little 11. Although Wu Lamai threw little 11 out, he still loved his child dearly. So when he heard little 11's painful cry, he immediately let go of Shui Qingman and attacked Crimson Flame. Wu Lamai's strength had already surpassed Monarch rank and entered Monarch rank. Although he didn't use all his strength because of Sima Yue, but that attack still needed to be blocked properly. But Crimson Flame didn't move at all, as if he didn't see the attack coming. He still used both his hands to grab little 11 who was trying to break free, and used the bloody golden light to cover it. Let it go. Wu Lamai roared at Crimson Flame. His hands didn't stop moving. Father. Sima Yue let go of Shui Qingman and flew over, pulling Wu Lamai. Yue, isn't he your contracted beast? Ask him to stop. Wu Lamai roared at Sima Yue. Father, don't worry. Crimson Flame didn't hurt little 11. Sima Yue explained. Can't you see that little 11 is in pain? Wu Lamai said. Father, believe me, Crimson Flame is helping little 11. He won't hurt it. Sima Yue said confidently. Wu Lamai looked at Sima Yue's eyes and confirmed that she wasn't lying. He suppressed his anxiety and didn't continue to attack. Actually, one of the reasons was that his attacks were useless against Crimson Flame. It would be a waste of energy if he continued. Shui Qingman flew over from the water and stood between the two of them. Wu Lamai quickly supported her. Yue, what is he doing to little 11? Sima Yue shook her head. She didn't know what Crimson Flame was doing, but she knew that Crimson Flame didn't have any bad intentions. Ong! Ong! Cries of pain could be heard continuously. Wu Lamai and the rest were worried. If it wasn't for their trust in Sima Yue, they would have already taken action. Sima Yue looked at Crimson Flame. She didn't know what he was doing, but through their contract, she knew that he didn't have any bad intentions towards little 11. She was even more curious about him when she thought about how he was out of character and how he, who was usually uninterested in anything, was actually so interested in little 11. After a while, Crimson Flame stopped the flames in his hands. Then he threw little 11 into Sima Yue's arms. I'll help you once for the sake of your ancestors. It's up to you whether you succeed or not. After that, he flashed back into the spirit pagoda. Sima Yue held little 11. Her curiosity was piqued by Crimson Flame's last words. For the sake of her ancestors, did that mean that he knew the ancestors of the Violet Water Dragon clan? Or was it that their master dragon god and Crimson Flame were friends? If that was the case, then Crimson Flame's identity, little 11's eggshell, has changed. When the flames that enveloped little 11's body slowly dissipated, Wu Laxiu was the first to notice the difference. Sima Yue looked down and noticed that the patterns on little 11's eggshell had changed a lot. In the past it was mostly purple, but now it was mostly gold, as if the primary and secondary patterns had changed. Needless to say, its bloodline had been activated. Was he activating little 11's bloodline just now? Wu La Lu frowned. Chapter 1072. Read 336. It should be. Wu La Mai felt that little 11's pressure was stronger than before. This should be due to Qi Yan. To actually be able to stimulate the divine dragon bloodline in little 11's body, just what was the identity of this crimson flame? However, Sima Yue was also surprised. She probably didn't know Red Flame's identity either. Could he be? Wu La Mai was shocked by his guess. His gaze toward Sima Yue became even more unsettled. Little 11, how are you? Shui Qingman hugged little 11 and caressed it gently. Maybe it was because little 11 had used up too much energy just now, and was a little tired now. He didn't move at all in Shui Qingman's arms. You just gave birth and you're injured. Give it to me. Wu La Mai returned to Shui Qingman's side, and wanted to carry little 11. Little 11 moved in Wu La Mai's hand and flew into Sima Yue's arms. It rubbed against her chest and quieted down. Wu La Mai's face instantly darkened. This little fellow was looking down on him. Shui Qingman laughed and pulled Wu La Mai's hand and said, Little 11 is angry at you for throwing him out just now. This guy, he's closer to you than to me, his father. When he comes out, I'll definitely spank his butt. Wu La Mai said with a dark face. EU. Let's see if you're willing to do so when the time comes. Shui Qingman understood her husband's character. He had a sharp tongue but a soft heart. Although he was very strict with the children, but in his heart he still couldn't bear to hit them. Let's see if I dare. Wu La Mai snorted coldly. I'll take you to rest first. There's nothing else here. Godfather, wait a moment. Sima Yue swam over and hugged little 11 with one hand. She took out a bottle of pills with the other and said, Mother was injured just now. Take 2 of these. Wu La Mai took the jade bottle and poured out 2 pills for Shui Qingman to eat. He then brought her to the bottom of the lake to rest. Wu La Lu and the rest flew over and surrounded Sima Yue and little 11 excitedly. If we have a divine dragon brother in the future, how awesome would that be? Wu La Xiu reached out to poke little 11, but he felt a jolt of electricity and his finger hurt slightly. Ah, you little brat, you actually dared to electrocute your brother. He waved his hand and shouted. Electricity? When did we have the lightning attribute? Wu Lali asked. Only then did they realize that little 11 had used electricity to attack Wu La Xiu. The Violet Water Dragon race was a special race because their attributes were mixed. They could have any attribute, but those were the basic 5 elements. They only had the ice attribute. They didn't have any lightning, wind, or light attributes. How could little 11 have an electric attribute now? Little 11 could feel his brother's surprise. He rubbed his head against Sima Yue's chest. He was very attached to her, and also very proud. 10th brother, don't you have the lightning attribute? Don't tell me it was you who gave it to him? Ural said. Sima Yue thought about it and said, that's possible. Didn't I use my spiritual energy to nourish him? I have all kinds of attributes. He might have absorbed the lightning attribute. Then does he have any other attributes? Wu La Xiu asked curiously. Little 11, what else can you do? Do you want to show off? Little 11 arrogantly ignored him. Little 11, I'm your big sister little 7. If you become a divine dragon in the future, you have to call me big sister too. Little 7 reached out to poke little 11 and giggled. They thought that little 11 would electrocute little 7, but not only did little 11 not electrocute her, he even rubbed his head against her fingers. It can't be? The difference is so big. I'm your biological brother. Wu La Xiu cried out. Kissing Sima Yue was one thing, but now even little 7 was treated better than him. This was too much of a blow to him. Sima Yue laughed and explained. When I was nourishing little 11, I used a lot of little 7's essence. He's very familiar with little 7's aura, so he's closer to her. So there's such a benefit. Little 7 laughed. Back then, she was still in pain. Now it seemed that the pain back then was worth it in exchange for the love of the divine dragon in the future. Wu Laxiu was unhappy. He wanted to poke little 11, but stopped when he was 1 centimeter away from him, afraid that he would electrocute him again. Before he could retract his hand, little 11 had already rubbed against his fingers. Little 11 didn't electrocute him this time. He took little 11 from Sima Yoyue's arms. This little guy really didn't electrocute him. What an arrogant fellow. Little 11 released his spiritual energy. Everyone knew what he was thinking at that moment. Wu Laxiu was stunned. Little 11 flew out of his arms and returned to Sima Yoyue's arms. I'm tired. Little 11 thought. If you're tired, then rest. Sima Yue took out a wooden basin and filled it with water. She poured a few drops of soul fluid into it, then placed little 11 inside. With the soul fluid's nourishment, little 11 felt extremely comfortable. Because he was too tired from activating his blood, now that he had a comfortable environment, he didn't move anymore. Sima Yue placed the basin on the surface of the water and let him float freely. Then she stood up and said to the people beside her, "Let's go out." She opened the door to the little realm. The group of people went out and returned to the barren desert. Once Sima Yue went out, she immediately received news from the scarlet bees. When she heard what they reported, she frowned slightly. "What's wrong, Yu? Little 7 held her hand and asked. After we left, someone came. Sima Yue said. So many people came here. It's not strange that someone landed nearby. Han Miaoshuang said. It's not strange that someone was with us. But it's different if they came here specially. Sima Yue said. Mao Sanquan sharply understood the meaning behind her words and asked, "Who are they?" "I don't know." Sima Yue said. "They have a lot of people and are very strong. If an ordinary person met them, they would probably be killed." Killed? Those people are here to kill? Little 7 asked. That's what the bees heard. Sima Yue answered. Who exactly are they? They actually didn't look for opportunities in the immortal land, but went around killing people? Wu Lali said. I think it should be people from the inner regions. They have been very restless recently. When Sima Yue said this, everyone thought of what happened in Cloud Sea City. Those people better not meet us. Otherwise they will definitely go for wool and come home shorn. They want to kill us, but we will kill them all. Little 7 rolled up her sleeves. When she saw Sima Yue staring at her, she rolled her sleeves down again. Since those people have left, we don't have to think about this anymore. The most important thing now is to look for opportunities. Mao Sanquan said. This book came from the Book in Book #web. Chapter 1073. Read 336. This was the first time the people here had entered this place, so Sima Yue wasn't sure what this immortal land was like, so she didn't rush to leave. She would follow them for a while, and understand the general situation before leaving. Yue, there are so many people here. Even if we find something, it won't be enough to share. We'll leave first, Mao Sanquan said to Sima Yue, treating her as the leader of Heartbreak Valley. Sima Yue understood this and said, Then be careful. Take this with you. She handed him a box. What is this? Mao Sanquan took the box and asked. A new teleportation array. Sima Yue said, If you encounter anything that needs help, activate the teleportation portal, and we will rush over. The transmission array is not for us to escape? Mao Sanquan opened the box and saw 2 very ordinary array stones inside. Ordinary teleportation arrays have limitations. They can't be used when space is sealed. This array stone is used to activate my teleportation array so that I can go to your side. Sima Yue said. If it's just an ordinary array, the school has so many of them. Why would you need me to give them to you? You're full of ideas. Mao Sanquan chuckled as he put away the items. I know that Dewei and the others have also come here. You have to be careful. Sima Yue nodded. If the 100 changing doors people were to come in, she would have to be more careful. However, you have so many people inside. You don't have to be afraid of their numbers. Mao Sanquan said. You just have to be careful of their array formations. I know. You guys have to be careful too, Sima Yue said. We'll follow junior brother, Han Miaoshuang said. Mao Sanquan looked at Su Xiaoxiao and nodded, indicating that he would follow Sima Yue. Miaoshuang, you have to be careful of the Han family. If anything happens to you, old Su will come after me. Mao Sanquan agreed to their request. I got it, Han Miaoshuang said. It's good that you know. Mao Sanquan brought the people from the academy and left. The people from Divine Devil Valley also had to leave separately. Sima Yue also gave a box to Ing Baichuan. If there's any danger, you must contact me, Sima Yue said. I will. Ing Baichuan put the items away. As the leader of this expedition, he would not joke about the lives of the valley disciples. Wu Lali walked over and said, Royal Father, Royal Mother, and Little 11, please take care of them. You're leaving too? Royal Father and Royal Mother are at ease with you here. Since everyone has entered, we naturally have to search for our own opportunities. Wu Lali said. Luckily, I prepared a lot of these. Sima Yue took out the same box and passed it to Wu Lali. Wu Lali put away the box and left with the Violet Water Dragon tribe. For a moment, only the people from Heartbreak Valley were left. Fui knelt down in front of Sima Yue and Shiminfeng and said, Valley Lord, Vice Valley Lord, Fui is a person of Heartbreak Valley in life and a ghost of Heartbreak Valley in death. If it wasn't for Sima Yue's firm attitude and determined not to hand them over, he would definitely have died today. Although Sima Yue had promised before that she would not hand them over to their enemies, they were still a little worried. Coming out with them this time, everyone was still nervous. They were afraid that if they met their enemies, Heartbreak Valley would hand them over. Fuyi's incident made them see clearly that Heartbreak Valley would not give up on any of them. A strong sense of belonging arose spontaneously. Heartbreak Valley would be their home in the future. Get up. Shiminfeng went forward and helped him up. Just like what we said to others, you are all disciples of Heartbreak Valley. We will not give up on you. Heartbreak Valley will be our home in the future. The other disciples said loudly. That's right. Heartbreak Valley will be our home in the future. The others echoed. Good. We will be a family in the future. Shiminfeng was also moved by their emotions. It was rare for him to say such emotional words. Sima Yue looked at their excited faces and smiled faintly. This scene was exactly what she wanted to see. A force could only develop better when it was united. Han Miaoshuang dragged Sima Yue to the side and said, What did you do to these people? We didn't do anything. What's wrong? Sima Yue didn't understand. These are all people from Bloodfiend City. Speaking of the people from Bloodfiend City, everyone is somewhat fearful. How did you subdue them? Han Miaoshuang asked. Sima Yue smiled and said, Carrot and stick. What carrot and stick? Han Miaoshuang never heard of it. You use my carrot? Little Seven heard Sima Yue mention carrot and ran over. No. The carrot I'm talking about isn't your carrot, Sima Yue said. Then what is it? Han Miaoshuang asked. Carrot means to give them benefits, Sima Yue explained. As for stick, it means to use force to suppress them. Although we didn't confront them directly, but what happened in Bloodfiend City gave them quite a shock. Plus my identity and so on, they were naturally afraid. Carrot and stick, although it's easy to say, it's not easy to do it, Su Xiaoxiao said. That's right. Speaking of which, it's better to be strong. Han Miaoshuang agreed. Shiminfeng calmed everyone down and then came to Sima Yue and said, It's about time for us to leave this place. It's time for us to do our things. The follow-up is the highlight, Sima Yue said. What things? Han Miaoshuang stared at Sima Yue. Did you do something without us? You were in the sect. Our things were more urgent, Sima Yue said. Then what did you do? Sima Yue told them about the Western Mountain Range trapping Zhongzheng clan and Yinyang Palace. After she finished, Han Miaoshuang grabbed her hand excitedly and said, Xiao, I've decided. Before Master comes back, we'll follow this guy. We didn't notice and we did something so fun. Follow us if you want to, Su Xiaoxiao said. You still want to? Han Miaoshuang pulled her hand out and said, all right, follow us if you want to. Then let's go and see how those guys are doing. Han Miaoshuang thought about what Sima Yue did and her eyes lit up. Let me see where they are first. Sima Yue took out a piece of rice paper after she finished speaking. She inserted spiritual energy and threw it into the air. Immediately, many red dots appeared. If those black-robed men saw it, they would realize that this rice paper had the same function as the jade plate in front of their boss. This book came from the Book and Book #web. Chapter 1074. Can you tell where they are? Han Miaoshuang came over and asked. Sima Yue looked at the dots on the screen and said, they're not here. Without them? Aren't there a lot of red dots here? Little Seven said. They should be blue. The red ones aren't them. Sima Yue said. It's probably because it's too far away, so it can't be displayed, Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue sighed. With a wave of her hand, she kept the paper and said, then we can only look for them now and see if we can find any opportunities. Then which direction should we go? If they go in the opposite direction, wouldn't we be further away from them? Sima Yue did not know which direction to go, so she turned to look at Wu Lingyu. Old ape? Wu Lingyu looked at the old ape. The old macaque closed its eyes and sensed for a while, then pointed in a direction and said, there's a weak reaction over there. The people from the Zhongzheng clan and Yinyang Palace used the old ape's blood, so he had a certain level of sensing ability towards them. Then let's go in that direction, Sima Yue said to Shimin Feng. Shimin Feng nodded and instructed the people of Heartbreak Valley, go in that direction. The Sparrowhawk tribe, the Four-Winged Rocks, and the Egret tribe served as everyone's flying beasts this time. Normally, they would not agree to let humans sit on their backs, but now that they were from the same sect, it was a different story. They flew towards the southeast. Even though the rocks could travel hundreds of thousands of miles in a day, after flying for a few days, they still did not see a single person. This immortal realm is so big. I haven't seen anyone for so long. Little Seven sat cross-legged beside Sima Yue and supported her chin with her hands. Sima Yue looked at the red dot on the rice paper and said, we're very far away from them. Maybe it's because we didn't come from the same crater as them. Everyone else squeezed into those teleportation arrays. They came down from the Yinlin volcano, so they were a little further away from the others. I think so. At that time, there was a large blank area around the place where we were, unlike other places where the red dots were concentrated, Shimin Feng said. In this kind of place, there is no lack of killing. We are far away from the crowd, which gives us some buffer time, Baixing said. I'm afraid those who are closer have already started fighting. Feng Kai sighed in agreement. For a normal small realm, the number of people who come out is less than half of the people who go in. Not to mention this kind of immortal realm that has the devil realm and ghost realm together. Feng Ji said. I'm afraid that many people will die this time. Sima Yue thought about the massacre in the little realm previously. She had also brought people to exterminate the Sage Pavilion and White Cloud D's people. Seeing Shimin Feng's eyebrows, she thought of how cold he usually looked. She wanted to tease him and said, I don't know how Xiang Yi and the others are doing. If they meet their enemies, I don't know if they can survive. Sai Bi said that there was a group of people who came in to kill people. They are so strong, I don't know if we met them. Hearing her say this, Shimin Feng frowned even more. Please don't let anything happen to her. You're so bad. Little Seven giggled. Shimin Feng then looked over and saw the teasing in Sima Yue's eyes. Only then did he know that she said it on purpose to make him worry. Sister. Shimin Feng glared at her. How could she tease him at this time? Sima Yue poked Little Seven's head. It was all because of this little girl who betrayed her. Shimin Feng was still looking at her sadly. She waved her hand and said, all right, your Xiangyi is safe now. How do you know? Don't forget, she has Little Roar's blood in her hands. The old ape can sense his blood, so can Little Roar. Sima Yue said, he didn't say anything happened to anyone. That means Big Brother Qin and Xiangyi are fine. Oh, at least they're still alive. Shimin Feng's gaze became even more sorrowful. Since she knew that they were fine, she purposely said those things to make him anxious. Was this really his own sister? Since when did she become like this? Sima Yue saw that his gaze became even more sorrowful. She reached out her hand to take off his mask and pinched his face, saying, "A grown man can't be kept at home. Didn't I just tease you a little? Why are you blaming your sister?" Shimin Feng reached out and grabbed her hand, saying, "You've become bad." "How have I become bad?" "You've become old-fashioned." Sima Yue did not admit it. However, she could not bear to see him so worried. She patted Little Roar's head and said, "Try to sense where they are." "Oh." Little Roar closed his eyes and sensed for a while, saying, "One of them is in the direction we're heading." "Can you sense who it is?" Shimin Feng asked. "No, it could be Qin Mo or Xiang Yi," Little Roar said. "What about the other one?" Sima Yue asked. "It's also in the general direction, but it's a little far away," Little Roar said. "Since the general direction is the same, it's fine," Sima Yue said. "I'm just afraid that one of them is in the east and the other is in the west. That would be troublesome." "Yes, as long as it's in the same direction, we'll meet," Han Miaoshuang said. "Moreover, Kong Valley is not an ordinary power. Not many people dare to provoke them. I'm just afraid that we'll meet people from the Devil Realm and Ghost Realm. They won't care about the power of the outside world," Bai Sheng said. "That's true," Han Miaoshuang said. "Even if the people from the Devil Realm and Ghost Realm kill people here, they won't be afraid of revenge from the outside world. Then the people from the Devil Realm and Ghost Realm wouldn't come here to kill people, right?" Aniane guessed. "How is that possible?" Feng Kai used the fan in his hand to knock his head, saying, "This is the Immortal Land. There are also opportunities for the Devil Realm and Ghost Realm. If they're here to kill people, then there's no point in coming here. Since this is the Immortal Land, how can there be opportunities for the Devil Realm and Ghost Realm? A long, long time ago, the entire world wasn't separated into humans, devils, and ghosts. Everyone lived in the same world. The things left behind by the ancestors were naturally mixed together," Bai Sheng said. "It's just that the heavenly Tao changed later on, so did the world. The human realm and devil realm went against each other and separated into different living areas." "This immortal land was also left behind at that time?" Hongwu asked. "That's right," Bai Sheng nodded. "The immortal land was an independent space in the past. But this kind of space is usually independent for a certain reason. I don't know what the reason is. This isn't something that we can find out the answer to. We just have to grab hold of the opportunity and improve ourselves here. As for the others, there are people fighting in front." Sima Yue suddenly changed the topic, giving everyone a shock. Chapter 1075. Everyone released their divine sense to explore, but they didn't discover any humans or spirit beasts. "Why don't we see anyone fighting?" Little Seven released her divine sense, but she didn't sense anything. "That's right, who's fighting with whom? Who has the upper hand? Is someone stealing the treasure?" "I don't see anyone either." Sima Yue was speechless. Why were they so excited when others were fighting? "Yu, where's the fighting? Why don't I see it?" Little Seven pulled Sima Yue's hand and asked. "I didn't sense it, it's the news from the bees." Sima Yue said. "Oh, you should have said so earlier." Everyone retracted their divine sense. If they had said that the bees heard it, they wouldn't have wasted their efforts. "Why are they fighting?" Bai Sheng asked. In this kind of place, the reason for fighting was usually because of treasures. Where there was fighting, it usually meant that there were treasures. So those people who won wouldn't stay behind, because the people nearby could come and snatch the treasures anytime. If they met someone who just went through a battle, wouldn't it be the same as giving away the treasures? I'm not sure. The bees were affected by the battle after sending the first message and died. Sima Yue said. "Should we go and take a look?" Shimin Feng asked. "Go, of course we should go. If there are treasures, we don't mind being fishermen." Sima Yue smiled. Fishermen. When the crane and the clam fight, the fisherman benefits. Haha, let's go, we'll be fishermen. When they reached the battlefield, the battle had already ended. There was a pile of corpses on the ground. The victorious party was nowhere to be seen. We're too late, Bai Sheng said. These corpses are no longer warm. This means that the battle has already ended for a long time. It's a little strange. Sima Yue flew down from Chongming and landed beside the corpses. The moment she moved, Wu Lingyu also stood up. Little Seven flew over and looked at the corpses. She didn't find anything amiss and asked, "What's strange?" Sima Yue looked at a few corpses and said, "Didn't you notice? These people's wounds are all the same, no matter the depth or shape, and all of them were killed in one hit. What does this mean?" "What does it mean?" Everyone else had a look of understanding, only Little Seven didn't understand. "It means they were killed in one hit's attack," Sima Yue said. "We should also be killed in that attack. Do you mean is it?" Feng Kai swallowed his saliva. SSSSSS hands, S, TT, ST, TTTT, ST, TTTT, Shimin Feng said. "If we know which forces came in, we can probably guess which force is here." Sima Yue shook her head. "It's not a force, it's a person." "A person?" When B sent back the news, it said that a person and a force were fighting. Sima Yue said, "So this isn't a fight between two forces, it's a person who got rid of a force. A paragon who came in alone? He should have reached his limit. He's trying to break through at the last moment. If he's able to advance, he'll be able to extend his life." Bai Xing guessed. "Luckily we didn't meet him." Little Seven shrunk her neck. Sima Yue looked at her and laughed. "There are times when you're scared too? This isn't fear, this is self-awareness." Little Seven said, "I don't have the ability to get rid of so many people at once. Of course, if I evolve one more time, it'll be a piece of cake for me." "You can evolve again?" Han Miaoshuang asked. "Of course. I've only evolved a few times. As long as I have the conditions, I can evolve a few more times. Every time I evolve, my strength will increase by leaps and bounds." Little Seven said proudly. "How long have you evolved? And you're already thinking about the next evolution." Sima Yue didn't want her to be too eager for quick success and neglect her inner growth, which would affect her Tao heart in the future. You don't worry, I'll be fine," Little Seven said. "This evolution, although the increase in strength is a very important reason, but if there's an opportunity, it's also possible it won't affect my future development." "How do you know it won't affect you?" Sima Yue asked. How do I know?" Little Seven was confused by her question. "You seem to know, but how do you know?" "It should be the inheritance that told you," Feng Kai said. "I don't have any ancestors. Where would I get the inheritance?" Little Seven couldn't think of an answer and was annoyed. She glared at Feng Kai. "No ancestors?" Feng Kai and the rest didn't know Little Seven's identity. They didn't think that she was a plant type. 4 plant-type spirit beasts like Little Seven and Little Blossom, although they were very powerful, they didn't have their own inheritance, because their memories couldn't be passed down through seeds. Only divine beasts with ancient bloodlines, auspicious beasts, would receive the inheritance of their ancestors when they awakened their bloodlines. "Alright, don't think about it if you can't remember." Sima Yue didn't want to see her frowning face, so she patted her head and said, "As long as you know that it's beneficial to you, it doesn't matter if you can remember it or not." Little Seven wasn't the kind of person who would go down a dead end. Since she couldn't figure it out, then she wouldn't think about it. But what she didn't know was that there was indeed an inheritance in her mind, but plant-type spirit beasts didn't have any. "I wonder what kind of treasure is here. To make a strong practitioner kill everyone, seems like he doesn't want anyone to know about it." Bai Xing muttered. Everyone's curiosity was piqued by him. That's right, what kind of treasure could make a paragon rank cultivator kill everyone to silence them? But curiosity was curiosity. They didn't have the guts and ability to investigate. If they really met it, they would have to report to the ghost realm. Don't think too highly of it. People who die in the little realm can't go to the ghost realm. Bai Xing said. Can't go to the ghost realm? Isn't it connected to the ghost realm? If they couldn't go to the ghost realm, then wouldn't it mean that they wouldn't have a second chance at life? The immortal land is a special space. Every time someone dies, their soul can't leave here. No one knows why. Baisheng said. See? Then we have to be careful. If we die here, we're really done for. Anayani said as he shrunk his neck. Chapter 1076. Read 336. There's a second life after going to the ghost realm? Little Seven asked curiously. Aren't people dead once they die? In our opinion, that is indeed the case. Please search Pin and Book Yen. Com. To see the most complete. But from another point of view, death is just a new life. Baisheng said. Sima Yue had an idea. Is death a new life? Why do you say that? Little Seven continued asking. After a person dies, their soul will enter the ghost realm. This was something that everyone knew. As far as I know, those souls that enter the ghost realm, if they can survive, they can cultivate again. If they are strong enough, they can also condense a body and survive. Will they remember what happened in the past? Sima Yue asked. I don't know, Baisheng said. After all, I've never really come into contact with these. I've only heard some news. Sima Yue recalled that she had heard similar words before. If this was true, then was it possible for the Shiman family to survive in the ghost realm? Wu Lingyu saw the hope rising in Sima Yue's eyes. He didn't have the heart to break it, but he didn't want her to be too stubborn about it either. He said, every day, there are hundreds of thousands of souls going to the ghost world from the human world and the devil world. But the ghost world isn't overcrowded. Do you know why? Because those souls are dead? Sima Yue asked. Souls can devour each other, and the ghost clan will also hunt souls. The souls that have just arrived in the ghost realm are very weak, and do not have the strength to protect themselves. Therefore, the chances of those souls surviving are very small. Will it be the same if we die in the ghost realm? Sima Yue asked. What do you think? Wu Lingyu asked. Sima Yue understood. It would be different if they went because they had been cultivating their souls. Even if they went to the world of spirits and souls, they would not be unable to protect themselves because they were too weak. After hearing what he said, the thought in her heart faded a lot, but it wasn't completely extinguished. In her heart, there was still a bit of hope. If they really survived, Shiman Feng looked at Sima Yue. Both of them were thinking the same thing. In the future, they must find a way to visit the ghost realm. It was just that she didn't know that she would go to the ghost realm in that way in the future. Alright, let's continue on our journey. Baisheng said. There are no more opportunities here. Let's find the next one earlier. Who is it? Kiki. I was actually discovered. A sharp ear-piercing sound came from the mountaintop. Then clouds of black fog ran out from behind the mountain ridge. People from the ghost clan? Baisheng frowned. He didn't expect to see people from the ghost clan so early. It seemed like these people were also attracted by the previous battle. Sima Yue did not expect to meet people from the ghost realm, just as she was thinking about the ghost realm. Last time, she watched the people from the ghost realm leave right in front of her eyes, and even tried to plot against her. She was filled with anger towards the ghost realm. If it wasn't for the ghost clan's aura in her body, she would have died the moment she came into contact with that drop of blood. But even if she was lucky enough to survive, the ghost clan's aura in her body was completely stimulated. She even had to trouble Su Jin and Gulang to find a solution for her. Ghost clan, hand over everything you have on you, and then offer up your souls. Kiki, fresh souls will definitely be more delicious than those from before. The leader of the ghost clan licked his lips. Looking at these humans, his saliva almost flowed out. Fresh souls were great nourishment. It could increase their powers by quite a bit. A group of ghost clan came out from behind the mountain ridge. Their numbers were 2 to 3 times more than Sima Yue's group. So many people. Even Little Seven exclaimed. And all of them look fierce. Anayani pretended to be afraid. They are indeed fierce. Sima Yue nodded. These people are not strong. Wu Lingyu said. But even so, we are not their opponents. Anayani said. We don't have to do anything. Wu Lingyu said. Let Little Meng deal with them. Isn't Little Meng from the Devil Clan? Can she deal with the Ghost Clan? In the past, her clan existed in the Devil Realm and Ghost Realm. Wu Lingyu said. She is good at dealing with things from the Dark Realm. Alright then. Sima Yue called Little Meng out. You finally let me out. Little Meng came out and said while giggling. Haven't you been busy with Thousand Resonance and the others in the Spirit Pagoda recently? Sima Yue pinched her little face. Then why did you call me out? Little Meng looked like she was in a hurry to go back. Hey, those people from the Ghost Clan want to kill us. They even said they want to eat our souls. Sima Yue said. What? Little Meng's voice suddenly rose. Who dares to eat your soul? I'll beat them up. Sima Yue was speechless and everyone burst out laughing. The originally gloomy atmosphere was stirred up by Little Meng and became much more relaxed. Little Meng turned around and saw the Ghost Clan people on the opposite mountain. She was so angry that she rolled up her sleeves. Ghost Clan? Damn, you want to eat my Yu's soul with your strength? Little Meng was angry. Her family's inheritance knew that the Ghost Clan had the habit of eating human souls. She didn't care if they ate other people's souls, but if they wanted to eat Yu's soul, that was unacceptable. Can you deal with them? Sima Yue asked. Although there are many of them, they are just a bunch of shrimp soldiers and crab generals. Little Meng said disdainfully. Being looked down on by a little child, the Ghost Clan people were furious and shouted. Who do you think you are? How dare you look down on us Ghost Clan people? So what if I look down on you? Do you dare to bite me? Little Meng put her hands on her hips. That arrogant look was exactly the same as Little Seven. Sima Yue held her forehead with one hand. What was going on? In the future, the two of you are not allowed to play with Little Roar anymore. She ordered clearly. Little Roar had really led them astray. Little Roar was on Shiman Feng's shoulder and felt the evil aura emitted from Sima Yue's body. He subconsciously shrunk toward Shiman Feng's neck. Feng, or your sister is too scary now. Look at how easily she gets angry. I think she has already reached menopause. Little Roar whispered into Shiman Feng's ear. If you say that, be careful that she doesn't lock you up. Shiman Feng said that, but the smile on his face showed that he was in a good mood. He would not say that he really liked to see Sima Yue angry. Of course, that was on the premise that the anger was not directed at him. Compared to the past, her personality had changed too much. The pressure on her body was too great, causing her to lose a lot of her usual emotions. Even if she smiled, it rarely reached her eyes. Now that he could anger her a little, it would be good for her to change her expression. This book came from the Book and Book #web. Chapter 1077. Read 336. Sima Yue turned her head and glared at Shiman Feng and Little Roar. It was as if she was trying to tell them what to say. Cough cough. Shiman Feng coughed and pretended not to see Sima Yue's gaze. Little Seven patted Little Dream's shoulder and said, That's right, who would care about these fellows? Ignorant humans. The ghost sneered. In a moment, I'll let you know how powerful the ghost race is. Noisy. Little Dream kicked off the ground and flew into the air. She hummed softly. Her voice was long and gentle, but when it landed in the ears of the ghost race, it was like a death sentence. What's that sound? The ghost clansmen covered their ears and screamed. However, even if they covered their ears, the sound still drilled into their heads. It was like sawing with a saw, causing their heads to feel like they were about to explode. Is this a sound attack? Fengji looked at Little Dream and asked excitedly. Sort of. Sima Yue replied. Little Dream was good at mental attacks. Speaking of which, what she was using now could be considered a sound attack. Quick, make her stop. The ghost clansmen couldn't take it anymore and shouted. But they couldn't move now. No one had the ability to make Little Dream stop. PFFF. Some of them couldn't take it anymore. They didn't know what Xiao Ming had shown them, but she made them kill themselves with their blades. Blood flowed, and many people fell down because of this. Amazing. The people from Heartbreak Valley were stunned. The people from Ghost Clan were difficult to deal with. It was even more impossible for them to commit suicide. They did not expect Little Dream to do it so easily. At this moment, not far from here, the demons who were resting suddenly stood up. I'm not mistaken, am I? The red-haired woman exclaimed. Impossible. Another demon cried out. The nightmare race has already been exterminated by us. It is impossible for them to appear here. But this aura, that's right, it's the same aura we felt in the devil realm. The red-haired woman shouted. But the nightmare race has already been exterminated. There can't be any left. Were they really exterminated? Another red-haired man stood up slowly. Isn't there another one? Luoli, are you talking about the immortal body that was suppressed in the Elin continent? That's right. Luoli said faintly. That guy, isn't he still alive? But she's been suppressed in the Elin continent. There's no way she can escape. What's impossible? Did you see her with your own eyes? Lori said. When he said that, everyone fell silent. That's right. Although they knew that the only surviving Nightmare Clan member was suppressed in the Elin continent, no one had gone to verify whether or not she was still there after so many years. If she wasn't there, then this could very well be her. Thinking of the treasures on her body, they were all tempted. That was something everyone yearned for even in their dreams. Since it might be her, let's go take a look. The red-haired woman said. That's right, we'll know once we take a look. Luoli took the lead and flew in that direction. It hurts. I can't take it anymore. Those ghosts screamed nonstop. Those who could endure it were still holding on, while those who couldn't were all committing suicide. The bees in the distance saw many people flying towards them. There were also some demons, and they all reported to Sima Yue. Little Meng, someone's coming. End it quickly. Sima Yue instructed Little Meng. Little Meng nodded, and changed to a high-pitched song. Those who were still stubbornly resisting couldn't take it anymore. And they all took up their weapons and committed suicide. SSSSS. Those who were so arrogant just now were all committing suicide. Seeing this scene, the people from Heartbreak Valley were even more in awe of Sima Yue. There were always so many strong contracted beasts by her side. Very quickly, those thousands of ghosts were all taken care of by Little Meng. Her battle power was amazing. Yu, how am I? Little Meng ran over, looking like she was asking for praise. Little Meng is great. Sima Yue smiled and praised. Someone's coming. Wu Lingyu reminded. There are demons. Little Meng, do you want to go back and hide? Sima Yue asked. Why should I hide? Little Meng asked. Sima Yue was speechless. How was she going to tell Little Meng that she was suppressed in the Elin continent by the demons? If she told her, would she continue to ask about her background? Those people aren't strong enough, there's no need to hide. Wu Lingyu said. But what if they spread the news about Little Meng? Sima Yue was worried. They can't come back, how are they going to spread the news? Wu Lingyu said. Moreover, even if they spread the news, the demons can't do anything to you. You have me. Sima Yue smiled. The words "you have me" warmed her heart. They're here. Sima Yue and the rest looked in front. A few figures flashed over. The aura they emitted was different from the ghosts. They made people feel pressured just by standing in the air. They're all experts. Shimin Feng said. These 10 over people are comparable to the thousands of ghosts just now. Baixing said. Little Meng saw the red hair of the demons. She suddenly covered her head and cried out. Little Meng, what's wrong? Little Seven quickly hugged Little Meng, not knowing what happened to her. She looked at Sima Yue for help. Wu Lingyu walked over, both hands placed on Little Meng's head. After injecting some spiritual energy into her body, she suddenly closed her eyes and fainted. Sima Yue took Little Meng and kept her in the spirit pagoda. Wu Lingyu looked at the demons and said, they were part of the people who sealed Little Meng that year. Did seeing them trigger her memories? Sima Yue asked. It's possible. Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue's gaze darkened, thinking about the cruel scenes in Little Meng's memories. She actually didn't want her to remember the past. If she remembered the past, Would her innocent and happy smile still exist? From little Meng's scream to Sima Yue taking her back, it was only a matter of 1 to 2 minutes. But it was enough for Luo Li and the rest to confirm their guesses. It's indeed the Nightmare Clan. Luo Li licked his lips, his eyes shining, as if he saw his prey. I didn't expect that after so many years, she would actually break out of the seal. The red-haired lady Luo Li smiled evilly. This is even better. Saves us the trouble of going to Yilin continent to find her. I'm afraid she didn't break out of the seal on her own, another demon said. It's obvious that the human below is her contractor. Pfft, if the Nightmare Clan knew that their only bloodline recognized a human as her master, I wonder if they would be so angry that they would come back to life. Luo Li laughed. This book came from Pin and Book #net. Chapter 1078. Read 336. The nightmare race that used to be so arrogant, the nightmare race that sneered at everyone, the nightmare race that looked down on humans the most, had now recognized a human as their master. If word got out, it would be a joke. Say, if the contractor dies, the contracted beast dies. Does this rule apply to her? Someone asked. I don't know. Luo Li said. She didn't die even after we treated her like that back then. Maybe this heaven's law doesn't work on her. I think it's very likely, another female devil said. Although she has a treasure protecting her heart, no matter what kind of treasure it is, it can't go against the heavenly Tao's rules, right? We'll know once we try, Luo Li said. You want to kill that human? It's not easy to kill her, but how hard can it be to kill a human? Luo Li did not take Sima Yue and the rest seriously. Let's make this clear first. After obtaining the Nightmare Clan, no one is allowed to have internal strife. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. Lori warned everyone. Let's get the treasure first, then we'll talk about the distribution. If I kill that human, will I get more? A flirtatious woman smiled at Sima Yue. Her eyes filled with killing intent. Humph, Huanyang, don't even think about it. You want to get more points by killing a weak human? How can I let you monopolize such a good thing? Am I not asking for everyone's opinion? Huanyang winked at them and threw them 2 coquettish eyes. Those devils did not buy her words. Sima Yue's smile deepened as she listened to them discussing how to kill her. Very good. As expected of the demon race. They didn't even need to say much, they just wanted to take her life directly. However, how could her life be taken so easily? Yeah, let me do it. Huahua was in the spirit pagoda. Her words were filled with hatred. What's wrong, Huahua? Why are you so excited? Sima Yue asked. These people tried to kill me before. If it wasn't for the fact that they couldn't find my main route, I wouldn't be here anymore. Huahua said angrily. Right now, she was an enemy, and her eyes were blazing with hatred. They beat you up so badly last time. If you go out now, can you deal with them? Thousand Resonance said worriedly. Last time they had a lot of people and even a few experts. This time they don't have any helpers. Huahua said hatefully. Yu, I can handle these people. Let me do it. I want to avenge myself and Xiaomeng. Sima Yue saw that Huahua was determined and confident, so she called her out. Another little girl. The people from Heartbreak Valley saw Sima Yue call out Little Blossom and exclaimed softly. Huahua was different from Little Seven and Little Dream. Little Seven and Little Dream looked very small. Their faces were like that of a baby. Huahua's face had already grown, but her body was petite. She still looked very small. When Luo Li and the others saw Huahua, she was only in her original form. She didn't transform, so they didn't recognize Huahua when she was in her human form. Huahua, these bad guys want to kill you. Little Roar roared at Huahua from Shimenfeng's shoulder. He wasn't an aggressive spirit beast. In comparison, he was much weaker. In addition, he hadn't fully recovered from his injuries. It was even more impossible for him to go into battle. At most, he could only call out to Huahua and the others. Humph, these little brats dare to kill my contracted master. Huahua laughed coldly. Good, today we'll settle the old and new debts together. Back then, you destroyed my main body. Today, I'll use your blood as a sacrifice. Old debts. The people from the demon clan didn't know what Huahua was talking about. However, when they saw Huahua's main body, they finally understood what she was talking about. Huahua's 10 fingers turned into 10 vines. On each vine there were countless vines. These vines were filled with flowers that were as tall as a person. Every flower had a circle of golden patterns, indicating Huahua's identity. Man-eating flower king. Huanyang was also a plant-type spirit beast. When she saw the man-eating flower king, she instinctively trembled. Luo Li and the others didn't expect to meet the man-eating flower king here. Thinking of the old and new debts she mentioned, and thinking of the man-eating flower they killed back then, they shouted, "You're that man-eating flower. Weren't you killed by us? Back then, you burned all of my vines. Unfortunately, you didn't find my main root. You didn't destroy my main root. Instead, you let me become the man-eating flower king." Huahua looked at them hatefully. "Since we helped you become the man-eating flower king, you should thank us. Why are you still looking for us to settle accounts?" Luo Li righteously said, as if Huahua was biting the hand that fed her to settle accounts. When Sima Yue saw Huahua coming out, the other party's momentum suddenly decreased a lot. They no longer had the arrogance they had when they wanted to kill her. It seemed that as long as they found their nemesis, even if they were dragons, they would become worms. In fact, it was no wonder that the demons were so afraid. The difference in strength between Man-Eating Flower King and Man-Eating Flower King was like heaven and earth. Moreover, Man-Eating Flower King could continuously reproduce new vines. It could be said that it was endless. A single person fighting was equivalent to hundreds of thousands of people fighting. If it wasn't for Sima Yue, this kind of fighting power could sweep through the entire demon world. Not to mention, after forming a contract with Sima Yue, she received a lot of power when she was promoted. Now her strength was much stronger than before. "Then I will kill you all, and let you become ghost emperors. You can thank me in the future." After Huahua finished speaking, countless flowers attacked the demons. The first to die was Huanyang. She was also a plant type, but she couldn't fight back in front of Huahua. In just a few moves, she was torn apart by Huahua. Although Luo Li and the others did their best to fight back and destroyed a few of Huahua's flowers, there were too many of them. Losing a few of them didn't affect Huahua much. Luo Li was surrounded by more than 10 flowers. She destroyed a few of them, but they were eaten by the remaining flowers. There were densely packed sharp teeth in the flowers. The teeth were poisonous. Once a person was eaten by Huahua, they would quickly be paralyzed and lose their ability to move. They could only watch as they were digested by the flowers. Floey only took about 10 minutes to deal with the dozen or so demons. The people below were all stunned. What powerful fighting power! Someone said in a daze. I wonder who is more powerful compared to Little Dream. No matter who is more powerful, they are more powerful than us. That's right. The most powerful one is still the Vice Valley Lord. All these powerful contracted beasts are hers. Is the Vice Valley Lord really a human? Why do I feel like we are not following a human, but a god? Forget it. The god of heaven is only a legend. The Vice Valley Master is the real thing. Luckily this is our Vice Valley Lord. If it was an enemy, we would be crying. This book came from the Book and Book #web. Chapter 1079. When the others arrived, all they saw was man-eating flowers dancing in the sky. That seemed deeply shocked them. Copy URL access %77%, 77%, 77%, 2E%, 76%, 6F%, 64%, 74%, 77%, 2E%, 63%, 6F%, 6D. This is the man-eating flower king. Sima Yue. What? When we were in the dark forest, we also saw this. Rumor has it that the man-eating flower king is Sima Yue's contracted beast. If the man-eating flower king is here, then Sima Yue must be here too. It's really her. After the man-eating flower king digested the demon clan's people, it slowly withdrew, and the Huahua's hands returned to their original appearance. After the flowers dispersed, The crowd saw Sima Yue and the rest standing behind them. It really is her. No one knew what to think when they saw Sima Yue. The person who had caused so much trouble back then had now grown to such a height. Her progress was too fast. Now she was no longer the person who would be bullied in the dark forest. Valley Lord, Vice Valley Lord. The person cupped his hands toward Shiminfeng and Sima Yue. What happened just now? The ghost corpses on the ground and the demon aura that had yet to dissipate in the air indicated that something had happened here. As you can see, some ghosts came. We just finished them off, and then the demons came. But fortunately, although it was a bit difficult, they were all resolved. Shiminfeng said. The corners of those people's mouths twitched. How was it hard? No one in the entire valley seemed to have done anything. Only the man-eating Flower King should have done it. However, since the other party had already said so, it was not good for them to undermine him or anything. They could only go along and say, "Fortunately, you guys are strong. If it was us who encountered them, I'm afraid it wouldn't just be a bitter battle." You flatter me, Shiminfeng said, cupping his hands towards those people. If there's nothing else, we'll be leaving first. I'm sure we'll meet again. Until we meet again. Shiminfeng left with his men, leaving those people behind. Elder, they're too rude. They just left like that. A disciple said. The elder who was smiling just now snorted coldly and said, "They're probably afraid that we'll attack them. Could it be that they got some treasure?" That might be the case. Otherwise, why would they leave so quickly? Even if they really got a treasure, do you dare to snatch it? They really didn't dare. Don't bother about them. It's not like you didn't see what happened at the entrance. Even Lord Yinlin. Anyway, just don't make an enemy out of her. Let's go take a look at other places. Yes. When Bia relayed the conversation to her, her lips curled into a faint smile. It seemed that what happened at the entrance was quite useful to her. It could be considered as a protective shield. Sima Yue Sima Yu is Sima Yu as U Sima Yue. Suuau as Yu. Why do you think this Yinlin is so nice to me? Sima Yue asked. It should be because he sees that you have a bright future. Wu Lingyu said. In the past, when you saw guys approach me, your face would turn black. This Yinlin is so nice to me, but I don't see any reaction from you. Sima Yue blinked her eyes. Divinators don't have descendants, and don't have a partner. He can't even think about you. What do I have to be jealous of? Wu Lingyu said calmly. Sima Yue pouted. This guy was too much. If you said that he was magnanimous, then sometimes he was very petty. If you said that he was petty, then sometimes he was quite open-minded. I feel that people like them are quite pitiful. Although they enjoyed a lot of glory when they were alive, they have to spend the rest of their lives alone. Sima Yue said sympathetically. People like them are indeed a bit lonely. If there was anything that Wu Lingyu was in awe of, it would only be divinators. Moreover, it was divinators like Yinlin. When I look at Yinlin, I feel that he doesn't have any expectations for life. He knows the future like the back of his hand. There's no feeling of surprise. Life is short, he has a heavy responsibility, he doesn't have his own thoughts, he doesn't have his own life. Sima Yue sighed and said, "Oh right, do you think that if we really bring out water that he's satisfied with, he will tell me about my father's news? As long as you can bring it out, there shouldn't be a problem." Wu Lingyu said, "But the problem is, can you bring it out?" Sima Yue's face fell. That's true. His request is so vague. He only said the cleanest water, but the water is all the same. How do we know if it's the cleanest? If he's not satisfied, then we can't exchange for news about our father. You have to believe that whether he says it or not, you'll find him. Wu Lingyu comforted her. Uncle Lu Feng and the others have been searching for so many years without any news about our father, let alone us. Sima Yue said. If Yinlin can give us some pointers, we can do less useless work. She took out Sima Lu Xian's life token. It was full of cracks, but it wasn't completely broken. This meant that he was suffering. What did he say to you when you were on the mountain? Little Seven thought of the time when they were alone and asked. Sima Yue thought for a while and briefly recounted their conversation. When she heard that Sima Yue was Shiman Yue, little Seven was really happy for her. So you guys are the same person? Then you don't have to worry about it. Sima Yue nodded. Once this knot was untied, she felt much more relaxed. Did he say anything else? Han Miaoshuang and the others were also listening. While they were happy for her, they were also curious about what else they talked about. He did. What did he say? He told me to get the 100 Ghost Banner when I go to the Immortal Land. 100 Ghost Banner. The one from Bright Red Mountain Peak? Han Miaoshuang exclaimed. Sima Yue nodded. That 100 Ghost Banner is so powerful. Why do you have to snatch it? And it belongs to the Devil Clan. Is it good for you to get it? Shiman Feng disagreed. The last time Sima Yue was tricked by the Ghost Clan and almost lost her life. He was still scared when he thought about it. But Yinlin said that the 100 Ghost Banner must be in my hands. Sima Yue said, although he didn't say the reason, I feel that something is going to happen. Otherwise he wouldn't have specially reminded me. You have the blood of the Ghost Clan in your body. Even if it's the 100 Ghost Banner, you can still control it. Wu Lingyu said, since Yinlin said it, it shouldn't be wrong to do as he says. You believe in his words so much. Yinlin is the most accomplished divinator. None of his predictions are wrong. Wu Lingyu said. Anyway, it's a treasure. If I get it, I can use it when I go to the Ghost Realm. Sima Yue wasn't against this request. Instead, she was looking forward to it. This book came from Chapter 1080. If we don't want the 100 Ghost Banner to be in the hands of the Ghost Clan, we can let others snatch it. Why must we let you snatch it? Han Miaoshuang said. Letting those powerful people snatch it should be more assured, right? I asked him the same question, but he said only I could get it, Sima Yue said. Did he say why? No. Sima Yue shook her head. Maybe it has something to do with my background. Perhaps only those with the blood of the Ghost Clan could obtain it. Who knows? Maybe. Han Miaoshuang and the others couldn't think of a reason. Anything else? Little Seven asked. He also said that we came here because of a great opportunity. However, if there were too many people, the opportunity would be scattered. Therefore, he suggested that we split up with the group in a few years. He even said that they would be fine, Sima Yue said. When are we leaving? Let's observe the situation first, Sima Yue said. At least, we have to find the people from Yayang Palace and Zhongzheng Clan first. I don't know where they are now. It will probably take a long time to find them. Little Seven was more interested in the unknown opportunities. Don't worry, the Immortal Land will last for a long time. It won't close for at least 8 to 10 years. Sima Yue said. This was what Yinlin had told her. I thought of a question. If this Immortal Land is always open, can we enter at any time? Han Miaoshuang asked. Everyone was stunned. They had never thought of this problem before. If there's auspicious beast blood, why, it should work, Sima Yue guessed. Then if we kill someone here, the people outside can come in and take revenge on us? Han Miaoshuang asked again. Yes. Wu Lingyu said. So before they come in, those people from the big forces will leave soul imprints on their own people, or use secret techniques to let the people outside know who did it. Then they will send people in to take revenge. Isn't that very dangerous? Little Seven said. You have to worry about being discovered when you kill someone. I'm just worried. After all, there aren't many forces that have the power to do this. Sima Yue said. At least Yayang Palace and Zhongzheng Clan don't have such power. We have to be careful of the powers in the inner regions. Even if we don't put this on all the disciples, the core disciples or the future heirs of the family will definitely have it. Zhu Xiao said. I don't care if those people have it or not. If anyone dares to have any thoughts about us, my fist will still greet them. Little Seven snorted. I think most people won't choose to be our enemy, Shiman Feng said. After all, whatever Yinlin did outside, as long as they saw it, as long as they had a brain, they wouldn't choose to be our enemy. What they had to guard against now was those who didn't see this at the time. Yes, Lin said that nothing will happen to you, so nothing should happen to you. Just relax and walk around here. Little Seven said. You really believe his words? Of course Big Brother Ling Yu said that he believes him. Of course I believe him. Little Seven said. I think you want to leave the group and go play by yourself? Han Miao Shuang already understood her personality. Little Seven didn't deny it. That was indeed what she thought. With so many people together, it wasn't fun at all. Actually, we did something to the blood. Why? Even if we don't look for them, they won't live for more than a year. Why do we still have to look for them? Su Xiaoxiao asked. Because I want to see their end with my own eyes. Sima Yue said. If I'm not there when they take revenge, the feeling will be much worse. That's true, Han Miao Shuang said. Also, if they're lucky and don't meet any spirit beasts, the little trick in the blood won't work on them. Sima Yue said. It can't be? They have such good luck? Little Seven's eyes widened. She felt that it was too unbelievable. Even if they didn't meet any native residents, they would meet spirit beasts from the outside. How could they not meet any at all? I'm saying what if? Sima Yue said. If that's really the case, it's not impossible. Then we still have to confirm it. Let's continue on our way. Although they had the old ape to guide them, they still took a long time to find the whereabouts of Huaiyang Palace and Zhongzheng clan. After more than 3 months of non-stop travel, they finally found their whereabouts on the Xian paper. In these 3 months, they passed by many places. If there were people, they would skip them. If there was no one, they would stop to see if there were any treasures. We finally found these guys. Sima Yue looked at the blue dots on the Xian paper and smiled evilly. How far are we? Shimin Feng asked. They're heading towards our direction. According to our current speed, we'll find them in 10 days to half a month. Sima Yue said. I don't know if they're from Huaiyang Palace or Zhongzheng clan. Han Miao Shuang said. We'll know when we see them. Sima Yue wasn't anxious. Where's the other group of people? It hasn't appeared on the Xian paper yet. There should still be some distance. Sima Yue kept the Xian paper and commanded the flying beast to continue their journey. A few days later, the old ape could clearly sense the location of those people. Little Roar suddenly jumped into Sima Yue's arms and said, Yu, I can sense it. What can you sense? Sima Yue hugged Little Roar and asked. Someone's in trouble. They're fighting. Little Roar said. Do you know who it is? Little Roar stretched out his claws and scratched his head and said, I can't sense it. I can only sense that my blood is mixed with another blood. Someone must be injured. Shimin Feng and the others were worried. Little Roar could sense that other than Qin Mo and the others, it was Kong Sengyi. No matter who it was important to them. Let's go over and take a look. Sima Yue said. Little Roar, lead the way. Alright. The people from Heartbreak Valley didn't know what happened. They changed their route and flew in another direction. Aren't we going to find Huaiyang Palace and Zhongzheng clan? It seems like someone's in trouble. Don't bother about what's going on. Just follow Valley Lord and the others. That's right. Kong Sengyi led the people from Kong Valley and ran with all their might. Most of their flying beasts were injured, but they still carried them with all their might. If they stopped, everyone would be killed by the black-robed men behind them. However, they were too injured. Even if they ran, they weren't as fast as those people. Very quickly, they were surrounded by the black-robed men, and their escape route was blocked. Chapter 1081. Junior Valley Master Mississippi. The Kong Valley's people surrounded Kong Sengyi and her brother, Kong Xiangqi. Little sister, I will hold these people back in a while. You take your men and rush out. Don't look back, okay? Kong Sengyi was already injured. Blood was dripping down from his fingers. Kong Sengyi covered Kong Xiangqi's wound. Even though he had taken medicine, the bleeding did not stop. He knew that the wound was poisonous. Big brother, what nonsense are you talking about? If we're going to leave, we're going to leave together. I won't leave you behind and run away. She roared angrily. Little sister. Kong Xiangqi grabbed Kong Sengyi's hand and said, We can't all die here. Our parents will be sad. Do you want them to lose 2 children at once? Then I'll stay. You can go, Kong Sengyi said. In your current state, you won't be able to hold them off for long. They'll catch up to me soon. Why don't I buy some time for you? Why are you so disobedient? Kong Xiangqi roared angrily. However, because he was injured, his voice did not sound threatening. I've always been disobedient. It's not like you just found out. Kong Sengyi looked at Kong Xiangqi. Kong Xiangqi looked at her stubborn little face and felt helpless. He could feel his body's condition. His life force was rapidly depleting. Even if he escaped, he wouldn't be able to survive. But in the face of his most beloved little sister, this little sister who had been stubborn and disobedient since childhood, how was he going to tell her? None of you can escape today, so you don't have to drag me down here, the black-clothed man said in a low voice. Kong Sengyi supported Kong Xiangqi and looked at the men in black, his eyes filled with murderous intent. You must be the people who have been massacring various forces in the Wonderland recently. Kong Sengyi's contract beast, a beautiful woman, stepped forward and stood in front of Kong Sengyi. Master, I'll deal with them. You guys go first. Shu'er. Kong Sengyi looked at the resolute back view, his eyes filled with reluctance. However, she had to make a choice. If all of them stayed here, they would all be annihilated. Master, Shu'er is very happy to be your contracted beast. I hope that Master will find a better contract beast in the future. She can replace me to protect Master. Shu'er turned her head and smiled at Kong Sengyi. Fifth Elder, take Big Brother and leave. Kong Sengyi placed Kong Xiangqi in the hands of a middle-aged man and said, You must bring Big Brother out. Miss. The Fifth Elder couldn't bear it. It's better if I. Fifth Elder. Kong Sengyi exclaimed. Only if you take Big Brother with you can he make it out alive. Don't forget Big Brother's status. Let's go. The Fifth Elder was very reluctant, but Kong Sengyi was right. Kong Xiangqi was the junior valley master of the Kong Valley. If he died, the impact on the Kong Valley would be even greater. He gritted his teeth and brought Kong Xiangqi to attack the weakest part of the encirclement. Don't let a single one of them go. The black-robed man waved his hand, and those black-robed men attacked the remaining Kong Valley people. The Kong Valley people were already weaker than the other party. Adding on the fact that many of them were injured, more and more of them fell. Kong Sengyi waved his whip, and every whip would send a group of people flying. However, even so, he couldn't win against the other party in terms of numbers. What kind of power did they belong to? Why did they want to exterminate the Kong Valley? Master, be careful. Shu'er's scream came from behind Kong Sengyi. Before she could turn around, she heard the sound of swords piercing into bodies. Shu'er. Kong Sengyi killed all the people in front of him, and turned around just in time to catch Shu'er's falling body. Master, Shu'er can't continue to protect you. Shu'er leaned on Kong Sengyi's arm. Blood kept flowing out from her chest and stained Kong Sengyi's skirt. Shu'er, don't say anything. Hurry and eat this pill. Kong Sengyi took out a pill and fed it to Shu'er. He wanted her to eat it as tears kept falling. Master, you must be well. You must remember what Shu'er said just now. Remember Shu'er turned into a little blue marten in Kong Sengyi's arms. Just as she was about to die, Kong Sengyi felt a metallic taste in his throat and spat out a large mouthful of blood. She was being counterattacked by the power of the contract. One of the black-robed men behind her tried to sneak an attack on her. However, before he could get close to her, he sensed danger coming from the side. In a flash, he gave up on attacking and dodged. Kung. A long spear flew from the sky and pierced through where that person was just now. It finally stabbed into the ground behind Kong Sengyi. Kong Sengyi hugged Shu'er's corpse and looked in the direction where the long spear came from. He saw the person he had been waiting for a long time. Shimen Feng saw the blood on Kong Sengyi's body and the corner of his mouth. Thinking of the scene just now, he felt heartache and anger. He came to her side and carried her up, saying, I'm sorry, I'm done. Kong Sengyi looked at Shimen Feng with tears in his eyes. Before he could speak, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Xiangyi, are you okay? Shimin Feng panicked when he saw her like that. Sister Xiangyi, what happened to you? Little Seven ran over and saw Kong Sengyi covered in blood. She was furious. I'll take revenge for you. With that, she raised her fist and attacked those black-robed men. Sima Yue let Huahua and the people from Heartbreak Valley take action. She came to Shimin Feng's side and looked at Shui Er's corpse on the ground, saying, her contract beast must have died. She must have suffered the backlash of the contract power. Luckily, it wasn't her life contract beast. Her life isn't in danger. Those people deserve to die. Heartbreak Valley disciples listen to my orders. Leave none of them alive. Shimin Feng's voice was low and hoarse. It showed how angry he was now, but he had to control his emotions. Save my big brother. Kong Sengyi looked at Sima Yue pleadingly. Don't worry, your big brother is fine now. Sima Yue looked at Kong Sengyi and saw Huahua using flowers to pull him up. He's poisoned. Kong Sengyi said. Sima Yue was stunned, then said, let me take a look at his condition first. Huahua, who received the order, brought Kong Sengyi over. The flowers were placed on the ground and acted as a bed. Sima Yue took out a pill and fed it to Kong Sengyi. Then, she bent over to check on Kong Sengyi's condition. There were more than 10 wounds on his body, but the scariest thing was the blood that kept oozing out. Big brother has been bleeding ever since he got injured. I can't stop it. Kong Sengyi said. He's really poisoned. Sima Yue checked and said, but luckily, I have the antidote for this poison. You have the antidote? When Shi Qianji was with me, I took many poisons and antidotes from him. Sima Yue said. You're saying that this poison is Shi Qianji's? Kong Sengyi squinted his eyes, his body emitting an endless chill. Chapter 1082. Sima Yue took out the antidote and fed it to Kong Xiangqi. Seeing that his bleeding had stopped, she stood up and said to Kong Sengyi, this poison is Shi Qianji's, but these people are not his. How did you know? Kong Sengyi asked. This isn't his unique poison, it's just something he researched. Sima Yue said, the mythical dragon sect doesn't dare to act so ostentatiously against the other sects now. You're not from their sect. How can you be so sure? Because. Sima Yue thought of the Sky Splitter Devil Sword, and did not continue. Anyway, I know it's not them. Since the Sky Splitter was currently in the Divine Dragon sect, they did not dare to cause too much trouble, because the demonic nature of the demon sword had not recovered yet. If others were to notice them now, more people would discover the existence of the Sky Splitter. They wouldn't take the risk. Kong Sengyi still believed Sima Yue's words. Since she said that it was not Shi Qianji, it should not be him. I'm touched to hear that you trust me so much. The spatial tunnel opened, and Shi Qianji and Shi Qiushuang came out of the spatial tunnel. They looked at her with gratitude. Come on. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him. Qiushuang, you seem to have grown taller. Shi Qiushuang's cold eyes softened when she saw Sima Yue. There was even a hint of a smile in her eyes. After the poison was detoxified, the body began to grow. Shi Qiushuang said, I never thought that I would grow up one day. I've had enough of this childish look. Take your time. Sima Yue said. Most people at your age don't grow their bodies, but your situation is special. Your body retains its memories, so it will slowly grow back. Shi Qiushuang knew that he would return, so she wasn't too worried. Did you really make this poison? Kong Sengyi asked Shi Qianji when he saw him. That's right, I developed it. Shi Qianji admitted. Are these your men? No. Shi Qianji denied. We came here precisely for this matter. What is it? We discovered that someone was using the poison I developed to attack the people in the immortal land. That's why I'm investigating this matter. Shi Qianji explained. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. Did you offend a lot of people in the past? Why is it that whenever someone wants to frame someone else, they always think of you first? Can you guess who it is? It was like that in Ocean of Cloud City, and it was the same here. Those fellows definitely had deep enmity with Shi Qianji, and that was why they'd framed him like this. Otherwise, why didn't he look for someone else? Shi Qianji shrugged. He was not worried and said, I have many enemies. If you let me think, I can think of a lot. But there shouldn't be many people who can understand your poison so well and obtain it, right? Sima Yue guessed. Cough cough, it seems like there are quite a few, Shi Qianji said. So you still can't guess who it is? Kong Sengyi asked. It's not that I don't have a clue, but I'm not sure so I can't tell you, Shi Qianji said. Even if I told you, you wouldn't know. After you find out, let's inform the Kong Valley. Kong Sengyi leaned into Shimin Feng's embrace and closed her eyes tiredly. The Valley Lord has already taken care of them. Baixing came over and said, I'll leave the corpses to you. We'll set up camp at a place 10 miles away. Sima Yue said. Huahua carried Kong Xiangqi and left. The rest of the disciples followed them and left. Only a few people stayed behind to deal with the corpses of the Kong Valley's disciples. After setting up camp, Shimin Feng brought Kong Sengyi into his tent and placed her on the bed. Feng Shui'er is gone. Kong Sengyi then relaxed and allowed her tears to fall. She revealed her weak side to Shimin Feng. Shimin Feng wiped her tears and said, Don't worry, we'll definitely find out who's behind this and take revenge for Shui'er. He knew about the relationship between Shui'er and Kong Sengyi. Now that she was dead, he felt sad too. But he was glad that it was just an ordinary contracted beast and not her life contract. If not, he wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. Kong Sengyi's tears couldn't stop falling. His heart ached for her. He didn't know what to do. Instinctively, he leaned over and kissed the corner of her eyes, wiping away her tears. Kong Sengyi was stunned. She even forgot to breathe. This was the first time he kissed her. Be good, don't cry. Shimin Feng's face under the mask was also red. But he couldn't think of any other way to stop her tears. Hee, Io. Little Seven's voice came from outside the tent. Her voice was getting further and further away, making the two people in the tent blush even more. Outside the tent, Sima Yue twisted Little Seven's ear and brought her out of Shimin Feng's tent. Io, it hurts. Little Seven patted Sima Yue's hand and cried out in pain. Sima Yue twisted Little Seven's ear with one hand and grabbed Little Roar's neck with the other. Only after they were far away from the tent did she let go of Little Seven and brought Little Roar in front of her. You two actually learned how to eavesdrop. Little Roar, didn't I say before that Little Seven's personality is pure? Don't lead her astray. You actually dared to bring her to do such things. Little Roar shrunk his neck and said without confidence, Why did you say that I was the one who led her and not the other way around? Do you think I don't know your personality? Who else would do such things other than you? Sima Yue poked his forehead. Aya, we actually didn't want to go and eavesdrop. Little Roar crossed his short legs and looked very innocent. We just thought that Xiang Yi's contracted beast had died, and that she had suffered from the backlash of the contract and suffered such serious injuries. That's why we wanted to go and see her and comfort her to make her happier. Who knew that we would encounter such a scene? Right, Little Seven? Yes. Little Seven kept nodding her head as if it was real. Sima Yue casually threw Little Roar aside and said, Don't think that I don't know what you two are thinking. The next time you bring Little Seven to do such things, I'll settle all the old and new debts with you. Little Roar flipped 2 rounds in the air and stopped. He smiled and said, No, there won't be a next time. Who? You use words meant that she was letting them off this time. She knew that she wouldn't believe them. But luckily Little Seven was with them this time, so she didn't punish him. If it was according to the past, an idea popped up in his mind. In the future, no matter what he did, he must bring Little Seven along. I hope not. Sima Yue glared at her. Seeing that Shi Qiushuang and Shi Qianji were looking at her, she guessed that they had something to say to her. After exhorting them, she walked towards them. Chapter 1083. Did you find anything? Sima Yue asked. Shi Qianji and Shi Qiushuang both shook their heads. Those people were very clean, nothing was left behind. Looks like he's prepared to die. Could it be a death warrior from some force? Sima Yue asked. There should be more than one. Shi Qianji said. Although those people did not leave anything behind, we still discovered some minute differences. They did not belong to the same power. Then it's very likely that a few powers from the inner regions have joined forces to do this in the immortal land. Sima Yue said. Where's your poison? Are there any clues in this regard? Shi Qianji and Shi Qiushuang looked at each other and hesitated for a moment before saying, there are indeed two suspicious people, but it can't be them. Why? One is already dead, and the other is my master. Shi Qianji said. The dead can't speak and can't frame me. As for my master, it's even more impossible. Sima Yue frowned and said, based on what you said, it's impossible, but it did happen. I think you'll have to see if there are any other suspects. That's the only way. Shi Qianji said. Sigh, because of this matter, we don't even have the time to look for opportunities. Sima Yue did not sympathize with him. Who asked you to do so many bad things in the past? This is called retribution, do you understand? Look at your gloating face. You really want to see the world in chaos. Shi Qianji rolled his eyes at her. I didn't say that. Sima Yue refused to admit it even though that was exactly what she thought. Although you didn't say it, your face showed it. Look at that smile of yours. Shi Qianji exposed her. I don't know how I can be friends with someone like you. I was thinking about that too. If you didn't pester me, would we have become friends? Sima Yue said. I'll pester you? How could this be? I'm so handsome, outstanding and elegant. How could I pester you and want to be friends with you? Shi Qianji started his narcissistic mode. Qiushuang, do you believe his words? You don't believe me, right? Sima Yue ignored him and asked Shi Qiushuang. Shi Qiushuang smiled and did not answer her question. It could be said that she agreed with her. You guys have always been in the inner region. Did you notice any unusual forces? Sima Yue asked. Other than carrying out missions, we usually don't pay much attention to other people's matters. Shi Qianji said. If you want to ask, the other people in the sect might know better. Well, it was obvious that these two people were going to be hands-off managers and would not pay much attention to other people's affairs. Why are you asking this? Shi Qiushuang asked. A lot of things have happened recently, and they are all related to the inner circle. This makes people wonder what kind of power is behind this. Sima Yue said. You've all seen what happened in Cloud Sea City. Besides that, the Divine Devil Valley was also plotted against and almost incited the enmity of other forces. Now that something like this has happened, once we get out, send someone to investigate. Shi Qiushuang said. Don't cause so much commotion. It's impossible that there are no clues at all. You guys are in the inner circle. It's best that you guys investigate this. Sima Yue said. Right that? What? How is eldest senior brother? Sima Yue asked. He's all right. After he slapped the Jiang clan in public in Cloud Sea City, the Jiang clan sent someone to look for him and wanted him to return to the clan. But he didn't accept their suggestion. He even said that he would kill anyone from the Jiang clan that he sees. Shi Qiushuang said. Although he was angry, the Jiang clan can't do anything to him. After all, the Jiang clan doesn't dare to touch us. Then, what about the Sky Splitter? Sima Yue asked. Is your father still holding it? Speaking of the Sky Splitter Devil Sword, Shi Qiushuang's face fell. Her face was filled with helplessness. Father is getting more and more obsessed with it. He won't let go of the Sky Splitter Devil Sword every day. He even yells about killing people. Then his mind is still clear? Should be. Shi Qiushuang said. But the last time I went to look for him, his eyes were bloodshot and filled with killing intent. It was as if he didn't have any other thoughts besides killing. I think that if this goes on, he might be controlled by the Devil Sword. Do you blame eldest senior brother? Sima Yue asked. If Jiang Junxian didn't bring the Devil Sword back, then this wouldn't have happened. Shi Qiushuang shook her head. Searching for the Sky Splitter Devil Sword has always been the mission of the mystical dragon sect. If you really want to blame someone, then you can only blame my father for not having a strong will. and not being able to resist the temptation of the devil sword. I told you guys before. If it's possible, it's best to throw the devil sword out. Sima Yue said. Or let it be sealed forever. Otherwise, it might bring about an even greater disaster in the future. Speaking of this, she really wanted to hang Jiang Junxian up and beat him up. If he didn't insist on bringing the Sky Splitter Devil Sword out, why would he worry about what would happen in the future? But thinking about it, he did it because he didn't want to bring Little Seven back. He didn't want her and Han Miaoshuang to be sad. He chose to hurt others so that he wouldn't hurt her. She didn't know if she should be happy or angry. He also came in this time. Shi Qiushuang said. But he didn't come with us. He left alone. Why? Sima Yue was a little worried. Walking alone here, wasn't that the same as looking for death? I don't know. He said he wanted to be alone. He's so stubborn. He won't listen to us. Shi Qianji said. I think that after he proved that the Jiang clan was blind, after Kong Junchul and his parents died, he became a little lost. Shi Qiushuang said. Revenge has always been his obsession. Now that he doesn't have it, he'll be a little lost. Shi Qianji said. Sima Yue understood that not everyone would understand what they really wanted. Revenge would be the motivation that kept them going. Once they took revenge, they would lose themselves. They wouldn't know what they wanted to do, and wouldn't know what to do in the future. But what surprised her was that Jiang Junxian would also encounter such a situation. Thinking about how lazy he usually was, she felt a little heartache for him. This senior brother. Because Kong Valley's people were injured, they had no choice but to rest here for 2 days. Luckily, Old Ape said that those people were still here and didn't go far. A few days later, Kong Sengyi's injuries were almost healed. Kong Xiangqi's injuries were also healed. Old Ape said that those people were moving, and they were moving very quickly. Sima Yue and the others decided to set off again to see if they were from Zhongzheng clan or Huaiyang Palace. Chapter 1084. He did not know what had happened to those people. They had been on the move for the past 2 days. It seemed like they were in a hurry. Not only those people, but others were also rushing in that direction. It seems like some kind of treasure has appeared over there. The person who went to scout for information came back. Really? Then let's grab a treasure on the way and get an opportunity. Sima Yue smiled evilly. All right. The people of Heartbreak Valley were all excited. They had been hurrying along and had not encountered a really good opportunity. Now that he heard that there was a treasure up ahead, it would be strange if he wasn't excited. Originally, they only wanted to avenge the Valley Lord and Vice Valley Lord. But now, everyone's enthusiasm was aroused. They chased after those people and flew all the way. 2 days later, they stopped moving. It seemed that they had arrived at their destination. Sima Yue and the rest flew for another 2 days before reaching their destination. It was actually at the edge of a sea. More and more people have been coming recently, they heard some people say when they arrived. Sima Yue and the rest did not know what it was, but from their expressions, it should be a good treasure. They are from Yinyang Palace. Shimen Feng whispered to Sima Yue when he saw them. Sima Yue followed his gaze, and saw people wearing the Yinyang Palace's uniform from afar. Looks like it's them. Sima Yue said. They don't seem to be in good condition. There aren't many of them either. It seems like they aren't that lucky. However, the opponents they encountered were not strong. Otherwise, they would not have left so many people behind. Shimen Feng was not very satisfied with this result. Sima Yue looked at the sea and said, Don't worry, they didn't do it before. This time, they won't be able to escape. With so many spirit beasts in the sea, it was enough to make them suffer. We need to find out what they're here for, Han Miaoshuang said. But look at these people. Do they know what they're here for? Zhu Xiao asked. If there are outsiders, of course they won't talk about it. Sima Yue said. But when there's no one around, they will definitely talk about it. It's time for the bees to make their appearance. Sima Yue released many scarlet bees, and asked them to scout for information. Very quickly, the purpose of everyone gathering here was clear. Seeing her eyes light up, the people around her knew that something good must have happened. You quickly tell me what is the good news? Little Seven urged. The bees said that everyone is gathered here because there is a small island in the middle of the sea. There seems to be some historical remains on that island. Perhaps a great emperor came here before. Sima Yue said. Really? Everyone cheered. If it was true, then there must be a lot of treasures on that island. There might even be some inheritance. As long as it was related to the great emperor, it would definitely be extraordinary. No wonder there are so many people gathered here, but not many spirit beasts. Shimin Feng said. If there were spirit beasts, the people of the Yinyang Palace wouldn't be able to get to the island so easily. Since the inheritance is on that island, why is everyone waiting on the shore? Su Xiaoxiao asked. Because they haven't found a way to get there yet. Sima Yue said. Can't we get there? You can't fly here, even if you're from the bird clan. Sima Yue said. Then we'll go by the sea. Anayani said. Do you think those people don't know? Sima Yue shook her head and said. The sea water seems to be lighter than usual. It can't withstand the weight of a normal ship. And they didn't know that there was a sea here, so there aren't many people who prepared ships. Then we can't get there too? Little Seven asked. Since we can't get there, then why are they still guarding here? I heard that the sea water seems to be changing. Every 5 days, there will be another sea water coming over. When the sea water comes over, the ships will be able to move normally. Sima Yue said. It seems like there were people who went over 2 days ago. Those who don't have ships are rushing to refine them. At this time, armament masters were extremely important. We didn't bring any armament masters this time. Bai Sheng said. Even if they wanted to refine a ship, they couldn't do it. Don't we have a ship too? Little Seven said. With that, we don't have to wait for the sea water to change, right? Sima Yue's eyes lit up. That's right. How could she forget about that? But her excited face immediately fell and said, Only Fatty knows how to drive that battleship. He's not here now, so we don't know how to drive it. Having it was equivalent to not having it. Who knew that Little Seven patted her chest and lifted her chin and said, I know how to drive it. You know how to drive it? That's right. When Brother Fatty was familiarizing himself with the battleship, I was watching from the side. Because I thought it was fun, I let him teach me. Little Seven said. That time she learned it for fun. She didn't expect that one day she would really use it. Little Seven, you're too smart. Sima Yue pinched Little Seven's face excitedly. If you know how to drive it, then it shouldn't be a problem for us to go over. Even if we can't do it now, we can wait until the sea water changes. What battleship? Shi Chun and the others asked. They had never heard of them having a battleship. Even Wu Lingyu didn't know about it. It was that time, when we were still in school, there was a time when we went out for a mission. Sima Yue told them about the time when they were sold to mine in the desert. Damn, so you guys were the ones who did it. Anayani couldn't help but swear. This news was too shocking. You said that the mine used to build the force was moved from there, right? Fengji said with certainty. They were still wondering why she had a mine. Now that they thought about it, when the mine disappeared, wasn't it dug by them? And that Almighty who didn't exist seemed to have taken the blame for them. Hee, since we have a battleship, then we should go over earlier. Since there are already people there, if we're late, then all the good things will be taken away by them. Little Seven said. But if we leave now, what about the people from Yinyang Palace? Han Miaoshuang asked. They don't need us to do anything. The spirit beasts in the sea will naturally take care of them. Sima Yue said. But we have to think of a way to get them to go to the sea. We don't know them well on the surface. How can we get them to go to the sea? Sima Yue thought for a while, looked at Kong Sengyi and Kong Xiangqi saying, We'll have to trouble you guys. Us? Kong Sengyi was surprised, but he didn't ask anything. What do you need us to do? This book came from Chapter 1085. Sima Yue whispered a few words into Kong Sengyi's ears. Kong Sengyi nodded and left with the people from Kong Valley. To see the latest chapter, please go to Yu. What did you ask them to do? Little Seven asked curiously. Curious baby, you'll know in a while. Sima Yue pinched Little Seven's cheeks and said. Little Seven patted Sima Yue's hand and pouted. Fine, I won't tell you. She wasn't a curious baby. Sima Yue smiled and looked at the sea. Ruins. On the other side, Kong Sengyi and Kong Xiangqi led the Kong Valley people to the shore. The Yinyang Palace people were not far away. Big brother, why are there so many people here? Kong Sengyi asked. Kong Xiangqi furrowed his brows and said. I don't know. Why don't we ask around? Kong Xiangqi said. They must have found some treasure. Otherwise, why would there be so many people? Kong Sengyi said. Go and ask them. Why would they tell us? That's true. Kong Xiangqi sighed. If there really was a treasure, everyone would have to hide it. Why would they tell them? Isn't that an elder of the Yinyang Palace? Big brother, let's go and take a look. Kong Sengyi acted as if he had just seen the people from the Yinyang Palace. The people from the Yinyang Palace noticed them while they were talking, but they didn't pay any attention to them. Now that they had come looking for him, he couldn't just ignore them because of their previous friendship. Elder Wu, you are here too? Kong Xiangqi walked over and greeted Elder Wu. So it's Xiang Yi and Xiangqi. Why are you here too? Elder Wu said with a fake smile. I saw that there were quite a lot of people when you came in. Why are there only these few now? At the mention of this, Kong Sengyi could not hide the sadness and anger on his face. He said, previously we were chased by someone. If we didn't run fast enough, I'm afraid we would have been wiped out. When he was escaping, he saw that everyone was rushing here, so he followed to see what was going on. Elder Wu, you came earlier than us. Do you know what happened here? What she said was true, and her feelings were also true. Elder Wu naturally believed her. Well, actually, it's nothing much. There are some treasures ahead, but they are isolated by the sea. Elder Wu said, avoiding the important points. There's a treasure? Kong Sengyi's eyes flashed with joy. Since it's isolated by the sea, we can just fly over. As she spoke, she felt a little restless. If only it were that simple, then we wouldn't be stuck here. Another elder of the Yinyang Palace said in a strange tone. What's wrong? Can't we fly? Kong Sengyi asked. I can't. You can't fly in this space. Even flying beasts can't fly over. The only way is through the ocean. Elder Wu said. Then let's go. As long as there's a boat, it's fine, right? A boat won't do. Elder Wu looked at the few small boats on the beach and said, the seawater here is lighter. Normal boats can't drag it at all. A boat like this will sink. Ah. Then doesn't that mean we can't go over? Kong Sengyi cried out, looking at the sea with a face full of regret. Yes. Everyone is thinking of a way here to see if we can go over. It's just that our Yinyang Palace hasn't thought of a way yet. Xiang Yi, your Kong Valley has many weapon refiners. Can you refine a special boat? This was the real reason why Elder Wu was paying attention to them. Kong Sengyi sighed and said, our weapon refiners all died in the previous chase. There are only 2 left, but their ranks aren't very high. If we want to refine a boat, I'm afraid it'll take at least 10 days to half a month. So long. Elder Wu frowned. It was such a waste to tell them all this information. If they had to wait that long, they might as well wait for the seawater to change 3 days later. Kong Sengyi naturally knew what he was thinking in his heart, but he didn't show it on his face. He only said regretfully, yes, but luckily there are still 2 weapon refiners. It's just that I don't know if they can refine a special boat. Elder Wu, you've told us such important information. If we can go over, we'll definitely bring you along. The elder just now snorted coldly. He flung his sleeves and went to the other side. Elder Wu smiled. If that's the case, then I'll have to trouble you, little nephew. You look, there's a boat. Suddenly, someone shouted. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice and saw a huge ship appear on the surface of the sea. Whose boat is that? It can actually float on the sea. Such a big boat, how many people can it hold? I'm more curious about whose boat it is. Can we take a ride? Look at the people on the boat. Aren't they from Heartbreak Valley? That's right. The one wearing the mask is the Valley Lord of Heartbreak Valley. After Shimin Feng got on the boat, the other disciples of Heartbreak Valley also followed. A group of people stood on the deck and looked at the people below. They were very impressive. It's really Heartbreak Valley. How can Heartbreak Valley have such a boat? I'm afraid they must have spent a lot of money to build it. Don't think that Heartbreak Valley is a new force. Their strength is simply far beyond us. Say, if we ask them to take a ride, will they agree? Look at those people and you'll know if they will or not. The people of Bloodfiend City were all ferocious. They released a murderous aura from their bodies, causing those who had ulterior motives to retreat. On this side, the people of Yinyang Palace and Kong Valley also saw it. Kong Sengyi saw Sima Yue slowly getting on the boat and shouted, "Aya, isn't that Yue?" "Little sister, do you know her?" Kong Xiangqi asked. "I know her. I'm quite familiar with her." Kong Sengyi said, "We've been through some things together. We can be considered friends. Then if you ask her to take us along, will she agree?" Kong Xiangqi asked in surprise. "She will definitely agree," Kong Sengyi said excitedly. "Yue is very nice and warm. With my friendship with her, it's not a problem for us to bring everyone in the valley. Big brother, I'll go and stop them first. Otherwise their boat will leave. Yue, Yue." After speaking, she ran towards Sima Yue's boat. Kong Xiangqi also wanted to run over, but Elder Wu grabbed his arm. "Xiangqi, you said before that if you can build a boat, you can bring us over. Now that you're like this, can you talk to Heartbreak Valley and bring us over?" "Bring you?" Kong Xiangqi was hesitant. "I don't know Sima Yue. Look, only little sister knows them. Now that little sister is going over, I don't know if she can bring you along. Why don't you come with us and see if it's okay?" Chapter 1086. Sima Yue heard the cheers as soon as she got on the boat. "Yue, Yue." She turned around and saw Kong Sengyi running towards her. "Xiangyi, why are you here?" Sima Yue pretended to be surprised and smiled at Kong Sengyi. They had been at the back of the crowd just now, so no one had seen them together. Therefore, when they saw the two sides meet, it did not arouse any suspicion. "I just got here too," Kong Sengyi said. "Yue, are you going to the other side of the sea?" "Yes." Sima Yue did not hide the truth. "Then can you bring us there too?" Sima Yue hesitated for a moment and nodded. "You saved my life last time. It's my duty to bring you guys there." Kong Sengyi smiled and said, "Thank you." "Xiangyi." Elder Wu and Kong Xiangqi came over and looked at her. Their intentions were self-evident. Kong Sengyi was also a smart person. He immediately understood what he meant. "Well," she looked at Sima Yue awkwardly. "Yue, can you bring the people from Yinyang Palace over as well?" Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. "Are you close? I promised Elder Wu just now that if I go over, I'll bring them along. Is that okay?" "No way." Shimin Feng walked over and refused directly. "Valley Lord." Sima Yue looked at Shimin Feng with an expression of respect. "Yue, we already have a lot of people. We brought Sky Ghost Valley because they saved your life. Huayang Palace has nothing to do with us," Shimin Feng said. "But I promised Xiangyi that I would agree to her request." "Anything?" Sima Yue was in a difficult position. She did not want to break her promise. "Yue, Valley Lord, you won't let me become a person who eats his words, right?" Hearing Sima Yue's words, Shimin Feng was speechless. That's right. Yue promised me." Kong Sengyi winked at Elder Wu. Elder Wu immediately understood. He cupped his hands and said, "I am an elder of Yinyang Palace. If you can bring us along, we will definitely be grateful." "Then will you share the things you obtained with us?" Seven asked. "Oh." Elder Wu didn't expect them to ask such a question in front of everyone. Wasn't this taking advantage of the situation? But seeing Shimin Feng's "I don't care if you want to sit or not" appearance, she could only restrain the anger in her heart, and said with a smile, "If you take us there, we will give you 20% of the treasures we get." 40%. Shimin Feng said. The corners of Elder Wu's mouth twitched, and he said, 30%, that's the most. Shimin Feng was silent for a moment, then said, you can only stay on the deck. With that, he turned and left the deck. Sima Yue saw that he didn't object, so she waved at Kong Sengyi and said, Xiangyi, come up. Elder Wu, let's go. Kong Sengyi excitedly went up. The people from Kong Valley and Yinyang Palace also went up one after another, making the people at the side envious. If only they had a good relationship with Sima Yue, then they would be able to get a seat. In their eyes, Sima Yue was very stupid. How could she bring others along at this time? For someone to do such a thing, other than stupid, what else could be used to describe them? At the same time, they also understood one thing. Sima Yue's position in Heartbreak Valley was very high. Even the Valley Lord had to give her some face. After the people from Kong Valley and Yinyang Palace went up, Sima Yue ordered the ship to set off. 7 leisurely sat in the control room and started the ship. The ship slowly left the coast and set off towards the small island. It slowly became smaller in everyone's eyes and finally disappeared. The people on the shore were envious. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and build the ship. The seawater changes every 5 days. Now more than 2 days have passed. They are only 2 days ahead of us. They probably won't get any treasures. Some people comforted themselves. That's right. The people who go first may not get the treasures. Someone agreed. This treasure is not something that can be obtained by whoever goes first. It depends on fate. I think you guys are saying sour grapes because you can't eat them. Wait until they find all the treasures in the historical remains. Let's see if you can still say that. So what if they get it? No one can say for sure who the treasures will belong to in the end. Alright, the person who said this must have made up his mind to rob them. Do you dare to rob Heartbreak Valley? Someone at the side secretly mocked. Don't forget their identity. Aren't you afraid that the entire bird clan will take revenge on you? There are so many people in Bloodfiend City. Can you beat them? Don't rob them today and get your clan exterminated tomorrow. Violet Water Dragon Clan is the overlord of the 9th Star Ocean. Do you dare to touch their little prince? The person who said that just now had dense sweat on his forehead. He was obviously scared by these people. I was just saying. How would I dare to rob them? However, the immortal land is so big and there are so many people coming in. They won't all be afraid of them, right? At least the Ghost Clan and Demon Clan wouldn't be afraid. Who knows? Don't forget who her masters are. One is Su Jin, one is Old Man Devil, one is Feng Zhixing. These people have a certain influence in the inner region. Old Man Devil and Su Jin haven't been seen for many years. Who knows where they went? As for that Feng Zhixing, they are from the inner region. As the saying goes, distant water can't put out a nearby fire. Hee, if you're not afraid, then you go ahead. I don't have the guts. I'm talking about others. AI, thinking so much. It's better to build the ship earlier. AI, that's true. What are you spacing out for? Hurry up and build the ship. Yes, young sect leader. The people from Huaiyang Palace and Kong Valley were on the deck. The disciples from Heartbreak Valley were also standing on the deck. Most of them had their arms crossed and stared at them. Xiangyi, you guys find a place to sit. I'll go down and take a look. Sima Yue smiled at Kong Sengyi. Are you going to the control room? Can you bring me along? Kong Sengyi asked excitedly. It was her first time seeing a ship. She had seen ships flying in the sky before and was very curious at that time. Sima Yue hesitated and said, Okay, but you can't casually touch the things inside. If you break it, we'll have to stay on the sea. Don't worry. Kong Sengyi patted his chest and promised. Then come with me. The others saw that Kong Sengyi followed Sima Yue down and were very envious. They were also very curious and wanted to go down and take a look. Unfortunately, they didn't have that kind of relationship and couldn't let Yue bring them down. When Sima Yue and Kong Sengyi went down, Little Seven was sitting on the chair. Her 2 feet were on the steering wheel, and she was leisurely nibbling on her radish. Chapter 1087. Crazy Wife. 5th Miss Godly Doctor. Chapter 1087. Little Dream regains her memories. Chapter 1087. Little Dream regains her memories. Kong Sengyi didn't have to act like he didn't know anyone when he came down. Seeing Little Seven's carefree look, he laughed. Look at our Little Seven's carefree look. Yu, I just realized that I've finished all the pills you made for me. I can only chew on carrots now. Little Seven sat up and passed the ingredients in her hands to Sima Yue. Sima Yue took the ingredients and condensed a flame. Using the flame as a cauldron, she refined the ingredients into pills. TSK, your pill refining skills are indeed worthy of the first place in the alchemy competition. Kong Sengyi exclaimed. Sima Yue kept the pills properly and passed them to Little Seven, saying, You guys stay here and watch. I'll go in and check on Little Dream. Little Dream hasn't woken up yet? Little Seven asked. Not yet. Little Spirit said that Little Dream is a little unstable. I'll go in and check on her. After speaking, she flashed into the Spirit Pagoda. Kong Sengyi went to Little Seven's side and looked at the buttons curiously. Little Seven, since you're free now, why don't you teach me how to turn this on? She smiled at Little Seven. Sure. Little Roar agreed on Little Seven's behalf before Little Seven agreed. Little Seven knew that Little Roar always had some weird ideas. Since he agreed so quickly, he must have some ideas. Hence she nodded, saying sure. Really? Haha, thank you, Little Seven. The excited Kong Sengyi didn't know that he had fallen into their trap. In the Spirit Pagoda, Sima Yue went in and saw a group of beasts guarding Little Dream. How's Little Dream? She's been like this the whole time. She hasn't woken up yet. Thousand Resonance said. Sima Yue went to the bedside. Little Dream was huddled together, her body trembling uncontrollably. Her tears were like a broken string of pearls that couldn't stop flowing. Her pale face scrunched up, her face was filled with fear and terror. Her hatred had already eroded to the bone. No matter which one of us approached her, her reaction was very strong. They'll kick and punch us, Yaguang said with heartache. As Sima Yue's beasties, they had never encountered such a situation before. Their hearts ached for her, but there was nothing they could do. Sima Yue walked over and hugged Xiaoming. Xiaoming wanted to hit her, but she hugged her tightly. Little Dream, it's me. Don't be afraid, I'm here with you. Sima Yue patted Xiaoming's back and comforted her. Perhaps because of the contract, Xiaoming was much better in her arms. She did not punch or kick her. Instead, she subconsciously hugged her, and even let out a low whimper. Sima Yue could feel the pain in her heart, and her eyes reddened. She felt as if she had returned to the time when she had just regained her memories. At that time, she had also felt this terrible. Little Dream, don't be afraid. Those are all memories of the past. You are very safe now. I will always be with you. She patted Xiaoming's back and comforted her. You weren't Xiaoming's memories sealed? How did it become like this all of a sudden? Yaguang asked. Xiaoming's seal was not very strong. After so many years, the thing in her body has been wearing down the seal. It was because of this that I was able to see her memories when I made a contract with her. Sima Yue said with heartache, coupled with the stimulation from the Devil Clan. The thing in her body exerted its strength and broke the seal in an instant. Xiaoming is so pitiful. Ling Long did not cry, but she felt sad for her. Yu, do you know what the thing in her body is? Thousand Resonance asked. Everything that Xiaoming had suffered was caused by the thing in her body. If not for it, there would not have been any of these things. Sima Yu shook her head. In Little Dream's memories, no one has ever said what that thing is. However, everyone knows that if you obtain that thing, it will increase your cultivation. If you can put it in your heart, it will make you immortal. You want Xiaoming to be like this? Yeah. Xiaoming had already calmed down in Sima Yue's arms, but her frowning eyebrows and pale face showed that she had not fully recovered. Sima Yue hugged Xiaoming. If not for her immortal body, she would not have to suffer so much. Sometimes living was not as good as one thought. Many times, living was more painful than dying. When Xiaoming wakes up, I wonder how she will face her memories. Thousand Resonance said. When Sima Yue recalled the past, She looked like she was on the verge of breaking down. Just thinking about it made them scared. Xiao Ming's experience was so similar to hers. Because of her, her family was exterminated. They could not imagine what would happen to the innocent Xiao Ming when she found out about the past. Sigh. Hiss hiss. Don't be afraid. Little golden snake woke up unknowingly. It circled around Sima Yoyue's shoulder and spoke to Xiao Ming in a broken language. Little golden snake, you're awake? Sima Yue saw little golden snake and said happily, awake. Xiao Ming. Little golden snake spoke very slowly, like a baby who was learning how to speak. Xiao Ming's body is fine, Sima Yue said, but her body broke through the seal. It's not good now. Protect. Protect her. Little golden snake said slowly. Are you saying that you want to protect Xiao Ming? Sima Yue asked. Little golden snake nodded. You, Xiao Ming. Protect. Little golden snake is so obedient. Sima Yue patted little golden snake's head and said happily. It knew that it wanted to protect them. She did not feed it so many good things in vain. Little golden snake, are you not going to protect us? Little Rock looked at little golden snake and wanted to tease it. It protected Yue and Yue protected them. Was that what it meant? Let me die. Let me die. Xiao Ming suddenly screamed. Her body kept struggling in Sima Yoyue's arms, and she suddenly used her hand to grab her chest. Xiao Ming, wake up. Sima Yue grabbed Xiao Ming's hand, not letting her hurt herself. Let me die with them. Sima Yoyue's words did not have any effect on Xiao Ming. She was still screaming and struggling. Xiao Ming. Sima Yue used all her strength to restrain her, not letting her hurt herself. However, she was hurt by her strength. Xiao Ming, you hurt Yu. Guang and the rest shouted. This shout was very effective. Xiao Ming quietened down immediately. Ugh! Sima Yoyue's mouth dripped with blood, and it happened to drip onto Xiao Ming's forehead. Maybe it was because she smelled the blood. Xiao Ming's tightly shut eyes finally opened slowly. Seeing the blood on Sima Yoyue's mouth, Xiao Ming thought of the memories she saw in her dream, and tears fell from her eyes. Yu, I'm sorry. Chapter 1088. Xiao Ming's apology made everyone's tears flow down. Sima Yue smiled at her and said, I'm fine. Yu. Xiao Ming couldn't say anything. She could only hug Sima Yue and cry. At first it was a soft sob, but later on, it became a loud wail. She cried until she almost fainted. Sima Yue understood how she felt. Back then, she had almost broken down, let alone someone as innocent as her. She understood that it was useless to say anything now. Only when Little Dream endured it herself would she truly get better. All she could do was to quietly accompany her and let her know that no matter what happened, they would always be with her. Sima Yue cried along with Xiao Ming. Her tears fell on Xiao Ming's face and mixed with her tears. I understand, Xiao Ming. I understand your feelings, your pain, and your hatred. If you want to cry, then cry. If you want revenge, then we will accompany you. Even if we turn the demon world upside down, we will accompany you. Yu, Little Dream cried. Why me? Why? Why did that thing grow on her body? Why did it bring her so much harm? Little Dream let out a long howl, and suddenly reached out to dig at her chest. All 5 of her fingers sank into her body. Xiao Ming, what are you doing? Sima Yue did not expect her to do that, and was a little slow in stopping her. Xiao Ming pulled her hand out of her body, and a lot of blood spurted out from her chest. Little Dream lowered her head and looked at the blood that kept flowing out. After being hit in the heart, other than bleeding and becoming weak, it did not take away her life. Yu, look, he won't die. He wouldn't die. Ah. Little Dream looked at the blood on her hand. She couldn't bear the pressure and cried out hysterically. When Sima Yue saw Xiao Ming like this, she somewhat understood how they felt when they saw her break down. She hugged Little Dream tightly and pressed her head against her forehead, saying, Little Dream, this isn't your fault. Your clansmen don't blame you either. Until they die, they are still thinking about how to protect you. No matter how many things they went through outside, they didn't want you to know. That's why you became such a cute you. Did you forget what your mother said before she left? She said to let you live well. Little Dream remembered the last words her mother said to her. Live well, escape, live well. But she didn't manage to escape. She was captured and tortured for so many years. In the end, she was sealed and suppressed. How sad would her mother be if she knew? She closed her eyes and her tears flowed uncontrollably. When she opened her eyes again, that pair of innocent, cute, and sometimes mischievous eyes had changed. Now, her tears were only filled with pain and hatred. Little Meng, no matter what you want to do, we will accompany you. Little Peng said emotionally from the side. Yes, yes. We you their heart's eyes, you and you in her pains. You and you. Little Dream thanked them. But she felt as if something was stuck in her chest, and she couldn't say anything. Xiao, Jing, Xiao, Meng. Little golden snake slithered down and circled around Little Dream's neck, rubbing its head against Little Dream. It was telling Little Dream that Little Golden Snake was with Little Dream. Little Roar, who was playing happily outside, suddenly cried, scaring Little Seven and Kong Sangyi. Little Roar, what's wrong? I was just joking with you. Kong Sangyi said helplessly. Little Dream. Woo Little Dream. You, I want to go in. Little Roar cried. Sima Yue heard Little Roar's request and kept him inside. Little Roar saw Little Dream's current state and cried. He threw himself onto Little Dream's body, not caring that the blood had dyed his beloved white fur black. Woo Little Dream, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have played outside. I should have been with you. Woo. When Little Roar came in, everyone was stunned by his crying. The way he cried was even more exaggerated than Little Dream. Little Dream let go of Sima Yue's hand and stroked Little Roar. She saw that the fur under his eyes was wet from his tears. His eyes were filled with regret as the tears in his eyes flowed even harder. Little Dream, don't cry. I'll accompany you to beat the bad guys. Little Roar climbed up and came to Little Dream's neck, sobbing as he spoke. Sima Yue was stunned by Little Roar's actions. Did something happen that she did not know about? After a while, Little Dream finally recovered and said, Thank you all. Thank you all for accompanying me. What are you thanking me for? We're a family. Sima Yue said. You should recuperate here first. Once you're better, we'll go find those Devil Clan people to collect interest. Since Luo Li and the rest came in, there will definitely be other Devil Clan people who came in. The powers that went to capture you last time were huge. This time, there will definitely be many who came in. Yes. Little Dream nodded. Sima Yue grabbed onto Little Dream's hand, which was still covered in black blood. Don't do something like this next time. You live to kill the enemy, not to hurt yourself. Do you understand? I understand. Little Dream saw the black and red blood on Sima Yue's body and said apologetically, I'm sorry, Yu. I hurt you. It's good that you're fine. Sima Yue used her other hand to pat Little Dream's head as she spoke. I'll be fine. I'll go and find them to take revenge. Little Dream said. It's good that you can think like that. Sima Yue said. They're calling me from outside. I'm going out. Recuperate well and try to recover as soon as possible. After the seal was broken, my strength seems to have increased by quite a bit. Once I've adapted to the current situation, I'll go out. Little Dream said. All right, we'll wait for you. Sima Yue kissed her on the forehead, then went to change her clothes and went out. The moment she went out, Little Seven and Kong Sangyi could smell the faint scent of blood on her body. Chapter 1089. Yue, what happened? Kong Sangyi asked worriedly. Just now Little Roar's appearance really gave them a fright. They had never seen him like this before. Yu, did something happen to Little Dream? Why do you have the smell of blood on you? Little Seven asked. Nothing. Sima Yue did not want others to know about Little Dream's current state, so she changed the topic and asked, Why did you call for me? Oh, it's like this. Just now, Old Bai came down and said that someone wanted to enter the room, but was rejected. Little Seven said, "So be it." Sima Yue didn't think much of it. The people of the Yinyang Palace didn't have long to live anyway. Now that they had left the coast, even if they killed them, no one would be able to see it. As for whether or not they would guess in the future, that was none of her business. Without conclusive evidence, even Yinyang Palace would not dare to do anything to Heartbreak Valley. "You've implicated us." "That's true," Sima Yue said. "But if we take action and their bodies are found, they will definitely suspect us." "Then what should we do?" Seven asked. Sima Yue thought for a while and said, "Let's think of a way to lock them up and throw them out when we reach the island. Then use poison to poison them." Little Seven said, "Since you have so many poisons, you can easily get rid of them. They're all cultivators. It's not that easy to poison them," Kong Sengyi said. "Then think of a way," Sima Yue said. "I have an idea, but I don't know if it will work." Little Seven said faintly, "What is it?" The solution is." Little Seven said with a sinister smile. In the evening, Kong Sengyi and Sima Yue finally returned to the deck. When Kong Xiangqi saw Kong Sengyi, he asked, "Why did you guys go down for so long?" "I saw that Little Seven was having a lot of fun, so I asked her to teach me for a while. Who knew that I would come up so late?" Kong Sengyi replied with a smile. "She taught you?" "Yes, I did." Kong Sengyi nodded. "I already told you that I have a good relationship with them. Even if your relationship is good, you can't go and cause trouble for others. What if she gets angry and throws us off halfway?" As he spoke, Kong Xiangqi looked at the people from Heartbreak Valley, as if they would be thrown down if they were angered. "Big brother, don't worry. Yue won't do that. Right, Yue?" Kong Sengyi asked. Sima Yue smiled at Kong Xiangqi. "Xiangyi is my friend. I won't throw them down." "See, I told you it wouldn't happen," Kong Sengyi said. "Even so, you can't be impudent," Kong Xiangqi warned. "I know." Kong Sengyi curled his lips at Kong Xiangqi. This fella was practically warning a child. "Oh right, Yue, you said last time that you would cook for me when we meet again. Does that still count?" "When have I ever not counted?" Sima Yue retorted. "Then can you cook for me now, little sister?" Kong Xiangqi glared at Kong Sengyi. "Junior Valley Master, don't be angry. This is what I promised Xiangyi." Sima Yue said. "Since we know each other, let's drink some wine and eat some meat to celebrate. Elder Wu, why don't you all join us?" Elder Wu and the others had been listening from the side the entire time. When they saw that Sima Yue was so cordial towards the Kong Valley's men, and had even prepared food for them, they said with a smile, "Since Vice Valley Master is so cordial, this we will respectfully accept." "Yue, I want to eat barbecue," Kong Sengyi said. "No problem. Why don't we barbecue on the deck? Anyway, the view here is wide and the night sky is not bad," Kong Sengyi suggested. Sima Yue thought about it and nodded. "That's fine too. I'll go and prepare some things." She entered the cabin, and came out after a while. With a wave of her hand, a huge table appeared on the deck. With another wave of her hand, a pile of prepared ingredients was placed neatly on the table. There were also a few pots and pans. Han Miaoshuang came out of her room the moment she smelled the ingredients. Seeing Sima Yue preparing to cook on the deck, she said, "Haha, junior brother, you're going to cook? Why didn't you call me?" Sima Yue glanced at her and said, "Do you still need me to call you? Your nose is even more sensitive than a spirit beast's." Cough cough, you don't have to say that, right? Han Miaoshuang refused to admit it. Am I wrong? Sima Yue started cooking. Barbecuing meat, stir-frying vegetables, stewing soup, cooking. She did not make any mistakes. If one's mental strength was not super strong, one would not be able to handle so many things at the same time so leisurely. Kong Sengyi took out a table and prepared to eat later. She and Han Miaoshuang sat at the table and watched Sima Yue cook for them. Very quickly, the first batch of barbecued meat was ready. Sima Yue used her spirit energy to wrap it up and placed it on the plate on the table. "Big brother, Elder Wu, come and eat. Yu's food is delicious." Kong Sengyi waved at them. Kong Xiangqi, Elder Wu and two other elders sat down. They originally wanted to get closer to her, so they could eat together. Now that they smelled the aroma of the barbecued meat, they really had an appetite. Then we won't stand on ceremony, Elder Wu said as he took a skewer of barbecued meat and took a bite impatiently. Kong Xiangqi also took out a skewer and ate it. The taste almost made him swallow his own tongue. He finally understood that Kong Sengyi did not let Sima Yue cook for them just to trick them. This thing was really delicious. How is it? Kong Sengyi looked at him as if she was waiting for a compliment. It was as if she was the one who made it. This is the best barbecued meat I've ever eaten, Elder Wu exclaimed at the side. He finished one skewer in a few bites. Before he put down the metal skewer in his left hand, he picked up another skewer with his right hand and continued eating. The people in Yinyang Palace had never seen their elders eat without caring about their image. They thought that the barbecued meat tasted really good. Just by smelling the aroma, they could not help but salivate. Sima Yue served a freshly cooked dish. Elder Wu immediately recognized it. Isn't this Memory Restaurant's braised lion's head? This is their exclusive dish. Vice Valley Lord, how did you know how to make it? I taught the chefs to make it. Of course I know how to make it myself, Sima Yue said. You're saying that Memory Restaurant is also Heartbreak Valley's property? Sima Yue smiled but did not say anything. Then you must have Memory Restaurant's exclusive fruit wine? Elder Wu's eyes lit up as he asked. Chapter 1090. That's right, Yue. How can there be no wine when there's meat? Kong Sengyi said. The fruit wine you gave me last time, I finished it in a few days. Fruit wine? Elder Wu, do you want some? Sima Yue asked. When Elder Wu heard what Kong Sengyi said, he was even more certain that Sima Yue must have a lot of fruit wine. I've been to Memory Restaurant a few times and have a deep impression of the delicious food and wine there. It's a pity that the things there can't be taken out, so I haven't had a chance to drink the fruit wine, Elder Wu said. More than that, Kong Sengyi continued. Yue, it's not that I want to criticize you, but Memory Restaurant is really too stingy. Every time you go to eat, you actually limit the alcohol. Everyone can only order so much wine. Once we finish it, there won't be any left. I can't drink to my heart's content every time I go. Didn't you say that last time? Didn't I give you a few jars to satisfy your craving? Sima Yue said. Speaking of which, I've developed a few more flavors of fruit wine. Really? Then quickly take it out and let us taste it. Kong Sengyi shouted. So those fruit wines were all brewed by you, Vice Valley Lord, Elder Wu said. I wonder if we will be lucky enough to drink the newly brewed fruit wine tonight. Every once in a while, Memory Restaurant would release a new fruit wine. As a result, there were more and more types of fruit wine. Even if you didn't like this one, there would always be one that you would like. When the other restaurants saw that Memory Restaurant's fruit wine was selling so well, they all went to study how the fruit wine was brewed. Unfortunately, there were so many hotels, but none of them tasted as good as Memory Restaurant. Therefore, even though Memory Restaurant's fruit wine was very expensive, and they could only drink a little each time they went, there were still many people who flocked to it. That's good. You guys can give me a taste. With a thought, Sima Yue produced a few jars of fruit wine in front of everyone. As soon as the jars were opened, the aroma instantly aroused everyone's appetite. This smell is even better than before, Kong Sengyi praised from the bottom of his heart. Isn't it? Quickly give it to me. Han Miaoshuang couldn't wait to pour a bowl for herself. Pour some for me, pour some for me. Kong Xiangyi waited for her to pour some before she took the wine jar and poured herself a bowl. I'll try it too. The others also poured a bowl one after another. How is it? Sima Yue looked at them, waiting for their evaluation after drinking. It's super delicious. It tastes even better than before, Kong Xiangyi said without exaggeration. When Sima Yue heard this, she smiled with satisfaction and said, as long as it tastes good. That's for sure. The fruit I used this time contains a lot more spiritual energy. The fruit wine will naturally not be bad. Sima Yue said with a smile. Hehe, how much fruit wine did you brew? Kong Sengyi hugged the wine jar and looked at her. Not much. Sima Yue knew what she was thinking when she saw her expression. I haven't sent the fruit wine to all the shops. I can't give it to you. You still have so long to go out, Kong Sengyi said. You can give it to them after you go out. All right. Seeing Sima Yue hesitating, she continued to plead. How about this? I'll buy it like last time. How about that? You really want to buy it? Sima Yue asked. Yes, more real than pearls, Kong Sengyi said with certainty. As long as you're willing to sell it to me, money is not a problem. All right. Since you're so forthright, I can sell these jars of wine to you, Sima Yue said. However, the price is a little higher than before. It's all right. Kong Sengyi immediately took out a crystal card. You can swipe as much as you want. Just give me the fruit wine. All right. Sima Yue took the crystal card and casually swiped a number of spirit stones. Then, she returned the crystal card to her and gave her a few jars of fruit wine. Thank you, Yue. Kong Sengyi smiled as she kept the fruit wine. When the others saw the two of them closing the deal, they were shocked at their speed. At the same time, they felt that Kong Sengyi was very lucky to know the owner of Memory Restaurant. Vice Valley Lord, since you've already sold the fruit wine to Xiang Yi, can't you sell some to us? Elder Wu said half-jokingly. Hehe, Elder Wu, you're too kind. Sima Yue suppressed the disgust in her heart and forced herself to continue smiling at him. We limited the amount of wine in Memory Restaurant because there were too many customers. If we didn't limit it, no matter how much wine we brewed, it wouldn't be enough. But this doesn't mean that we won't open the back door for our friends. So it's all right. Of course, Sima Yue said. But there are only a few jars of this newly brewed wine. Xiang Yi has already bought all of them. If Elder Wu wants some, we can only buy the ones that were brewed before. Although he was slightly disappointed when he heard that the one he was drinking now was gone, he thought that the other wines were still delicious. He nodded and said, If it's from before, then so be it. Even if it's from before, it's still priceless. Yue, Elder Wu has always taken care of me and my brother. If you sell the fruit wine to him, you have to give him a discount. Otherwise, your price is too high, Kong Sengyi said. Elder Wu looked at Kong Sengyi with satisfaction and decided to treat Kong Sengyi better in the future. At least if he could help in the future, he would help him out. Then we'll go according to the restaurant's price and give you a 20% discount. How's that? Sima Yue asked. Then I'll have to thank Vice Valley Lord. Elder Wu was overjoyed. Other than the Members' Day, Memory Restaurant never gave discounts. However, it was hard to get a seat during the Members' Day. Even if there was a discount, it would only be a 10% discount. No one had ever given a 20% discount before. Then what kind of fruit wine does Elder Wu want? Sima Yue asked. What kind do you have? I have all kinds, Sima Yue said. As long as it's from Memory Restaurant, I have it here. Then you have a lot? Memory Restaurant had close to 100 types of fruit wine. If she had all of them, then wouldn't she have at least 100 jars? It's not that much, Sima Yue said. Some fruit wines only have a few jars. Some have more, tens to hundreds of jars. That will depend on what flavor Elder Wu wants. When everyone heard this, they all wanted to buy the wine. They couldn't help but swallow their saliva. Then give me a few jars, Elder Wu said excitedly. He had plenty of money, but if he missed out on this fruit wine, then so be it. One hand handed over the money, and the other hand handed over the goods. Very quickly, the transaction was completed, and Sima Yue received another large sum of money. Since Elder Wu bought so much, how about this? I'll give you some for free. At the same time, I'll satisfy everyone's cravings, Sima Yue said. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.